Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Game Masters on the GDQ Hotfix. My name is Fant, and today we are bringing you a wonderful Kingdom Hearts 2 randomizer race between Sonic Shadow Silver 2 and Zack the Robot. Before we get into the action, a couple of quick announcements. GDQ 2023 Online will be January 8th to the 15th. Head on over to gamesdonequick.com for more info. Game submissions are closed, but tweet at GamesDoneQuick and let us know what you're hoping to see on the schedule. Also, Fright Fatales is a one-day event on October 23rd to celebrate spooky season with dark, scary, or horror-themed speedruns from the Frame Fatales community. Use !Fright in Twitch chat to learn more about this one-off event. I am here joined by the runners today, Sonic and Zack, two very prolific runners, not only just in terms of their prowess at the game, both the winners of various tournaments. Zack's won the most recent Cage 2 charity tournament, and Sonic won the Rando Discord League, as well as Violet's GTHO tourney. But both of them have also been fundamental into the development of the randomizer as well. And I just wanted to hear from both of you, a little bit about the contributions you've made to the rando. Sonic, I wanted to start with you. You made the Garden of Assemblage mod, which is quite critical to how this randomizer actually functions. How did that go for you?
That was really fun to work on, obviously. Originally, I wanted to make a world map mod where you can go anywhere, wherever. But I just moved that to Garden of Assemblage to make that a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super, super neat, and you'll see it utilized throughout the run. We'll point it out when we get there, but it's kind of like the central hub that randomizer takes place in, allows you to easily go through all the different worlds super quickly. And Zack, you are largely responsible for just all the seed generation functionality that we use to actually make these things.
I took a look at how the seed generation was working when I started playing, and I was like, oh, it would be cool if we added this. It would be cool if we added this. So I just kind of did it on my off time, and eventually I've just added 17 other things, and now it's just almost everything I've had a hand in at this point.
Any upcoming features you could tell us about, or is all that top secret information?
There may or may not be a multi-world coming.
Oh my god.
That is still in development, very long-term goal, but it is in progress.
Well, I hope the development goes well. Before we got into the race here, it's going to be a one-on-one, and there's so many settings that you have made. I wanted you to give us a outline of what we're dealing with today, just as a primer for the audience.
Sure thing. So we're going to be using a hint system called Path Hints. The big idea there is that when we find answer reports, which are on the end of first visits of every world that we are going to, those reports are going to tell us information about where our 3 proofs are, which the 3 proofs are the things that we need to find in order to beat the seed. So we will get information about where those are when we finish a first visit boss or finish a world.
Okay. So
that's hints. All the super bosses are on. So all the level 99 super bosses are on. Sephiroth, Lingering Will, every single organization member, all of those can have the thing we need to finish the seed. Hard item placement. So all of these good items that are in the seed are going to be pushed later in worlds, so we have to do more content to get to them. And then we're also playing with these items that lock going to the second half of some worlds, and those items are pushed late as well. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of content in order to finish the seed.
Oh, well, I can't think of two more capable people to actually make something like this doable. What you're about to see here today is very, very difficult. I've done a number of Cage 2Cs myself, and this game's difficult, especially depending on what type of items you get. You just have to know so many different things to put together ways to defeat all these super bosses at the end, and it's just going to be super interesting to watch. And I'm going to send you two off to go ahead and get ready, stand by for the countdown. But I needed to bring someone in here to help me make sense of everything we're going to see. So none other than the J Hobbs is going to be here helping me commentate today. How's it going, Hobbs?
Hey, what's up? I'm absolutely pleased to be here. This is going to be fun. Zach and Sonic are two of the best KH2 Rando players, so always fun to get a chance to watch them and talk about them, especially when they can't hear me.
I'm going to be jealous of all the skill that's on display here, but I'm just going to ask Sonic, are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
All right, Sonic's ready. Zach the Robots, are you ready?
I am indeed ready.
All right, Hobbs, you want to give us the honors of a countdown?
Sure thing. And okay, I was just about to say, Sonic, make sure you're on the last thing. Let's get started on go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. All right. So now we can start talking trash, right?
Yes, they've been deafened. They cannot hear us anymore. I do want to point out something right at the outset that'll probably come up again later, but currently, Zach on the right and Sonic on the left are using two different control schemes. Zach is using a controller like everybody else pretty much that runs this game, whereas Sonic is using keyboard and mouse because Sonic is just that good that we had to nerf him.
Yeah, I don't know
the
how
joke we like
anybody
to run,
plays any 3D action game whatsoever on KVM, but Sonic, like not even this game, Sonic is good at KVM in a variety of games you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, from what I understand, basically during development of the Garden of Assemblage mod, which is what room they're in right now, it was just easier for Sonic to learn how to use keyboard and mouse than to keep going back and forth while developing.
We saw them both open up that shop menu really quick to see if they had, a good ability for Donald, most likely Duck Flare on one of those items. They didn't buy anything. I couldn't read that quickly. These people just go right on through. Didn't see anything.
They wouldn't have the money right now anyways, but I didn't see it in there, I don't think. I did kind of look over at one right before they went to the shop and the other right after they were doing the shop, so I might have missed it, but they both open up going to Pride Lands. This is usually your starting world you're going to see out of most people, and the main reason is that all of the movement abilities that we're going to be looking for throughout the run do not apply here. You are Lion Sora, you cannot go into drive forms, you cannot use movement abilities, and thus this world after... The other big benefit is that after you kill these two Heartless right here at the beginning, you have access to every single chest in the world. So this is just always a good starting location, since all you got to do is get through one kind of tricky fight that has a way to make it easier, that they both did, and then you have access to like 26 checks or something ridiculous like that without having to worry about your movement. So far we've seen a Reflect and a Magnet already pop up, which is nice. Zach taking a small early lead here. But yeah, the Reflect is absolutely really handy for keeping them safe early on in a critical mode difficulty seed.
Yeah, not only useful for, just a defensive move to avoid taking damage, but, also doubles as a powerful attack depending on your magic stats. So depending on the character growth as we go through the game, that could be a big source of damage for bosses later on.
Yeah, I will say that starting, these are two of the most important magics you want to get in a seed. However, they're not the best to necessarily get first because they're not super offensive early on. You have to kind of a single magnet will not do a lot of damage without other tools. It also is not super great at pulling enemies in from very far away. A Reflect requires you to wait for the enemy to attack you. So while they're fantastic tools and we absolutely want them, they're not necessarily going to open up a lot of options for these two right away. Dodge / making an appearance, a absolutely useless ability. So of course it shows up early.
When I was first going through these randos, I had to ask everything like, this is good, right? And then the answer almost always was no. This is actually bad. You don't want to ever equip this. But yeah, the only thing I saw is like they gain an armor slots in there. So, if they get some ribbons, that's some nice defense there. Going in, enabling some abilities. God, they're so fast enabling abilities. I'm so slow going through these menus. Like, these people know what they want.
Yeah, you can get pretty quick with them. They did also start with some movement options already. So they started with 5 random movement abilities, and I swear it's not actually, but I swear it's always weighted against glide. They have 2 quick runs, a dodge roll, an aerial dodge, a high jump, and no glide. So it's just pretty funny. Sword of the Ancestor was picked up in Pride Lands as well, and that's a key item. That is one of those world unlock items that Zach was talking about. So that means that they have access to the second visit of Land of Dragons after they've finished the first visit. Looks like we have a slight route difference here, probably because of not having that glide. Sonic is going over to Land of Dragons, where he'll presumably grab 3 chests here and then leave. That gets him a couple more ethers from the party member, and those 3 chests are in a very small room. Zach is moving around through Agrabah, which is a fairly standard second world to go to. It does have a lot more movement to it, which is, again, why Sonic probably didn't go there yet. But it also has a lot of chests. And you, again, can grab a few ethers from your party member, which is really nice.
Yeah, the checks early on come in hard and fast. I'm like constantly darting between both of them, like making sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah, commentating this game is so hard to do, and it's really easy to miss stuff. Sonic got a pretty good Keyblade, 2 become 1. I think that was in like Agrabah, in Land of Dragons. So I believe that is something he's going to have as an advantage right now, and also gets scanned, so we're going to be able to see some health bars.
Yeah, scan, technically not required, but it is a very nice to have because it allows you to see exactly what the boss HP is and, allow you more ease and timing abilities. Mm-hmm. Knowing when you're done quick running Roxas, and you could go in for the finishing blow.
That's certainly a good use for it, yeah. Zach also did find another unlock item in Agrabah, and that's the Battlefields of War, which unlocks the second visit of Olympus Coliseum. So even though those items are weighted to be very, deep or placed very deeply within the worlds, they still can show up early. It is still a randomizer. Nothing is guaranteed. And getting a couple of those means that they are going to have some options later on once they start finishing first visits. But right now we're still in what I like to call the shotgun phase of the randomizer. A lot of runners follow the same routing procedure. The idea is you basically do a lot of shallow visits to a wide spread of worlds, and that gets you quite a few checks without having to worry too much about your combat tools. Meanwhile, the alternative is to basically just do deep dives in worlds, which is probably going to get you fewer checks per minute. And in any randomizer, this is true of virtually every single game, checks per minute is your biggest advantage. It's the thing you want to optimize as much as possible.
Yep, Sonic didn't die to the giant jack-in-the-boxes in... What? Okay, what is
Halloween Town?
But the winter portion of Halloween Town, there's a name for it, right? Yuletide Hall.
Christmas Land, I think. I think it's just Christmas Town.
Christmas Town. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are notoriously
sure.
annoying, and but Sonic using Jack's ultimate ability, the limits.
The limit, yeah. Dance Call is really great, and you basically you're invulnerable during the uses of limits, so. You pretty much just use Dance Call, throw a couple of ethers that you will always have because Jack starts with 2 ethers, and then you use another Dance Call. Looks like Zach did not get much out of Agrabah, took the standard opener. Did get a finishing plus Keyblade. I didn't quite see the stats on it. I don't think they were amazing, though, because he kind of gave us a little bit of a head shake.
I need to take a screen cap of these stats so I can actually see it.
And is now heading to the world that never was. Getting a report that it was 0-7 on the Keyblade, so that's nice for Magic, but terrible for your attacking, which you're gonna have to do early on.
Our first glide in the world that never was. I appreciate them going complete opposite circles around these worlds, keeping it as disconnected as possibly can. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so that glide's actually pretty big. Right now, Quick Run level 2 is actually faster than that glide, so they're both gonna keep doing that. That's why Zach didn't bother trying to open the menu, put on glide right away or anything. He will now, I'm sure. But glide is helpful in some scenarios where you need to move downhill on slopes. So, for example, Sonic has not gone to Olympus Coliseum yet, whereas Zach probably will do that before going to Space Paranoids or Port Royal. Otherwise, Zach's probably going to follow the worlds that Sonic just did now. And Sonic will probably be eventually getting to Agrabah. I could see Sonic waiting a while to go to the world that never was, so he might be down that glide for a little bit if there's not another one pretty early. It won't be the end of the world unless he takes a really long time to go there. So we'll find out. We'll see.
Yeah, it's something I like doing early. Like maybe you save Roxas so you have more. Like we have abilities here to definitely cheese it right now, but it is slow. So you may not necessarily want to even think of doing that until you have means of like actually doing it fast, saving a whole bunch of time there. Disney Castle coming up for Sonic.
Yeah, so this is going to be our first look at Disney Castle. They're both probably going to go to 100 Acre Wood as soon as they get a torn page, because there are 6 free checks there when you get a torn page. Otherwise, it's only 3. So they kind of skip that while moving counterclockwise around the room. Another Keyblade to check. Keyblades are something you tend to check in bulk unless you get a bunch of good ones. Sonic using some AP boosts here. Not sure exactly what prompted that, other than maybe just wanted to check that Keyblade pretty quickly. They do have Berserk Charge on a Keyblade, which is nice to find early because Berserk Charge is useful for cheesing a lot of bosses. And it's, even if you're not going to like use it for an hour and a half, it's one of those things that could just show up anywhere. So it is nice to find it at some point, even if it's early. And also Zach found Horizontal Slash, which is the other half of a common strategy for bosses that involves Berserk Charge. That was on level 12, which Sonic has not gotten to yet because of not going to Agrabah and fighting some Heartless there. So that gives Zach a tiny combat advantage right now. Currently rocking a more magic-focused build, though, so really want to find a Blizzard or a Thunder, since those are your 2 primary methods of attacking. And I definitely saw Fantasia in Donald's staffs there that Sonic just checked. I couldn't quite tell. I might have seen Flare Force as well. In fact, I'm going to try to like catch the stream replay to see if I can tell.
All right, really quick. Is Sonic going to do some stuff with Mini on the left? There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Quick running. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I got to push the mouse. Only went for one, though.
This is surprisingly hard to do.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. Only went for one just because it's kind of like hard. It's harder to do the quick runs once enemies spawn. But yeah, I did see Flare Force on Donald's staffs as well as Fantasia, which is lucky to get one of them, let alone both. Flare Force is a super powerful limit from Donald. It allows the Mega Duck Flare limit, and it's going to be that is kind of one of their better combat tools right now, is maybe like throwing up a magnet and do a Duck Flare. But it will drain your MP completely when you use it, so it can be a real resource hog. It can take a lot of ethers until you find something to buy you a lot of ethers quickly, like a money pouch or just some money grinding locations.
All right, Olympus Coliseum from Zach as Sonic does the wonderful mini escort quest. What are your thoughts on this? This one, I feel like it just takes longer every time I do it, and especially in a race situation, it just takes forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely slow, but you get access to, I want to say, 7 more checks, something like that, from doing this. Yeah, I think it's 7, including actually the reward on it. So it's 8 checks, which is nice.
So that's good. We have the Olympus Stone inside of Olympia, and Zach also picking up that Auto Master, so you can use that to force Master Form if needed for some fights. Because I don't think we've actually found any actual limits yet, so may see some usage of that later.
Yeah, Auto Master is used where if you are in critical health, you can enter Master Form even if you don't have Master Form unlocked, which is one of your drive forms, one of the 5. It's not going to be like terribly useful, but it does mean that they can start getting the rewards on drive form level ups a little bit sooner, which could potentially unlock them something great. Master Forms is one of the more situational ones, like an Auto Valor and Auto Wisdom is significantly more useful than Auto Master. But it's still something. And yeah, we can see Sonic immediately using
Duck Flare coming in. That's why it's good.
Yeah. That being said, Zach being able to go to Olympus and now Twilight Town before Sonic could potentially be a big deal here. That Olympus Stone that we saw is kind of nice to find early on if you don't have much movement in Olympus Coliseum, because sometimes drive forms can be a good form of movement for you, but they started with quite a bit of movement, so not the end of the world.
See how far Sonic decides to take this. There is a portion early on where you have to like basically go through 4 individual sections with no check. And
Windows,
yeah, Sonic's, yeah. No, we're going to save
No,
that
yeah.
for later, if ever.
Pretty much are always going to either push to mini or push through the escort, through the old Pete fight, and grab the chests in Timeless River. And then once you get those 3 chests in the next room, you tend to turn around and leave. Now we're going to see Sonic go through Agrabah, so this is stuff we've seen. Whereas, Auto Valor.
All right.
That shows up for Zach. And showing up for Zach before going to Disney Castle is really convenient because Disney Castle is an extremely common place to use Auto Valor to get it to level 2. Like I said, you get rewards off of those drive form level ups, and being able to, go to Disney Castle, just use Auto Valor very quickly on a big group of shadows and hit level 2 is really nice.
Yeah, it's also pretty safe as well. I'm sure you mentioned that. Just like a lot of the little heartless enemies, very easy to damage down, even on crit. So you don't have to worry about waiting for the perfect ability to get you to the perfect auto summon. Okay. Just
auto summon's useless.
Yeah.
The thing is that you actually on crit can still die from the heartless.
100%. So nothing is free on crit.
You have to get into critical health in order to use Auto Valor, and there's a good setup for it at the health you start at, but once you get a few health increases, as they have, it gets a little bit more sketchy. You just got to kind of hope you get lucky with some damage values, and Zach should be fine, but
if
come
anybody's going to
into
be fine,
Space Primaries first.
I'd imagine these two are capable of handling this.
It looks like Zach's still rocking the Finishing Plus Keyblade for now. Hero's Crest. Sonic's still using that Kingdom Key they started with.
And it
Neither of them.
Good blade. It was 0.7, but still a 7 stat, which is as high as either your strength or magic stat can go. I wasn't sure if it was 7 on the magic or 7 on the strength. I think it was a strength.
It was 7 on the magic.
So ignore me.
Yeah, so that's the problem with the Hero's Crest right now is they don't have Thunder or Blizzard or even a Fire to use, so it'll buff the heck out of their Reflect or Magnet damage, but buffing your Magnet damage only does so much because it's very chip damage, and buffing your Reflect damage, as I mentioned before, is just kind of slow because you got to wait for enemies to attack you. So right now, Zach is pretty much exclusively using it because it allows him to use Magnet and then another attack as well, since Magnet counts as the end of a combo. And so that's really, Finishing Plus is just fantastic utility. It's just it's an S tier ability. You pretty much equip it as soon as you get it. It is a little situational once it's on a Keyblade, though.
Mm-hmm. All
right. Looks like Zach is going to dip into 100 Acre. Grab the first 3 chests here, despite not having a torn page. See if he gets lucky. Draw's not terrible.
Retaliating Slash and a skill ring, and we're out.
Yeah, nothing big. Nothing that's going to really help him decide on what world to go. This is kind of interesting because they don't have a lot of... they have Flare Force. Zach doesn't know he has Flare Force yet. I don't believe he's checked Donald's items. But Flare Force does allow them to kind of do a lot of fights they want. It won't necessarily be optimal, but they can at least do them and stay safe since you're invulnerable while using it. But right now, it's other than that, they don't have anything that's necessarily nudging them one way or another. So I could see them doing totally different worlds after they're done with their shotgun phase, which they're starting to wrap up here.
Yeah, if everybody's clearing the levels that we've seen before, so we kind of got a little bit of a breather in terms of just new checks flying at us from every direction. But yeah, I'm curious which level they're going to go through. I feel like you wouldn't want to do something like Port Royal without any sort of magic other than your Magnet Reflect, because that just having one Blizzard or really any magic all just makes that so much faster. But we have Sonic heading back into Pride Land, so I think there's our answer.
This is interesting, and I kind of really like this play from Sonic right now. It's going to be a hard fight, but he's heading towards the Scar boss fight. So the main thing, first off, he's going to do a cool strat in this fight where you use a magnet on the 3 hyenas and then you just let them attack you, you reflect, and they will always follow up with the exact same attack. So you can kill all 3 of them in what's probably going to be 3 reflects for him. And yeah, it looks like it is. And so that is heads up play. Yeah, that's super heads up play to think oh, I have magnet and reflect. I'll go do hyenas. This is a fight normally people put off like a long time. But then on top of that, he's likely going to do Scar here because the way they have their hints set up, they know they'll get a hint from the ends of first visits. So Reflect is kind of the main thing you need for this fight. You don't really need any more than that. You have access to Simba's Limit, and it'll probably be kind of slow and a little bit dangerous, but it is doable, and it's guaranteed going to get a hint on where to potentially go. So this is actually, I think, a brilliant play from Sonic, and not one that I think a lot of people would have thought to make this early on in the seed. Sonic is going to try to do a DM skip here, double DM skip in a way, on this boss by using one of Simba's limits right into another one. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get it. So we are going to see one desperation move from the boss here. It's just kind of one of those big attacks RPG bosses use when they get low on health that they're super invulnerable during and deal a ton of damage during.
Still, just even if you don't get that skip, just doing this at all at the level that we're at is impressive. It just makes it look so easy, dodging all that stuff. So GG's to Sonic. I didn't see what items we got. Okay, there's the Ansem report. And we've got... Actually, I don't know how to read these path hints. Take it over, Hobbs.
Yeah, I'll explain. Yeah. So it says Sora's heart is on the path to connection, and it's going to be really small for all of you, but up next to, in the very top left of Sonic's tracker, it'll show a little icon to the right of Sora's head that has a key inside a big circle. So the three proofs are what they need in order to beat the game. It's the three main things they're looking for. It's they unlock the final door to that leads you to the final bosses. With this hint style, when you get a hint, it'll tell you which worlds are on the paths to specific proofs. And what that means is that the items they find in that world, the important checks they find, will help hint you towards where that proof is. So for example, if Sonic were to find the ability called Second Chance in this world that he's in now, Second Chance in the base game, normally you receive as a level up reward, like just from leveling Sora up. So that would mean that Proof of Connection might be on levels. Then you might find it by leveling Sora up. However, it could pick, like that hint is talking about potentially any important check found in this world. So they won't know exactly which one it's referring to until they found all of the important checks in a world, which turns the number blue. And a final form found by Sonic, that is gigantic. That is one of the best combat tools you can find.
Yeah. Beast Castle just coming in with all the others. We also saw a guard earlier, high jump improvements, just general better movement.
Yeah,
and safety. That guard not as useful with that. We saw an auto wisdom out in the courtyard.
Yeah.
So.
Auto wisdom, having access to drive forms is always nice. And we are seeing Zack is going to go into Hollow Bastion, probably complete the first visit, or at the very least get all the chests before the Bailey fight. Not a bad play. This is another one that you kind of wait for a glide on sometimes. And you like to wait for final form, so it's going to be actually slightly more optimal for Sonic since he will have final form before coming here. But it's just because that first fight can help you get final form to level 2. It's not that big of a deal. It's absolutely something you can catch up somewhere else.
There will be more opportunities. But yeah, I think these are the outside of simulated Twilight Town, which I'm sure both are waiting. Is like, please just give me a limit form so I don't have to worry about that mess. I think these are the final 2 zones that we're just now dipping into. We've seen pretty much everything else. Again, the first visits, Hobbs talked about that shotgun approach, going into all the worlds super early, get all the quick checks before choosing to go on further and actually complete some of them.
Yeah, and Sonic making quick work of this fight, going to be using Duck Flare. I don't think this will one cycle. I think he's just doing that to stay safe. Yeah. But yeah, it's absolutely a judgment call on where you go after the kind of the worlds right before the ones they're in now. And Beast Castle, I'm not surprised by at all. Hollow Bastion, I'm also not surprised by. I don't know. Zack could decide not to go to Beast Castle next. He could just decide I'm going to go push some other worlds, since the very opening fight of Beast Castle is a nice place to level some drive forms. However, he'll probably do it because he doesn't have an amazing combat tool yet. And if so, then he gets access to Final Form, which is very nice. Also, Final Form for Sonic means that glide advantage that right now Zack has is mitigated a little bit because Sonic can just go into Final Form in order to use glide. He can't do that in Olympus, though. He can't do it in Olympus Coliseum because you need the Olympus Stone to do that in the underground. And as we know, it's in the underground. So he would have to kind of make a hard read for that. But that glide it'll matter the longer Sonic puts off like getting one, puts off going to the world that never was. In the early game, it doesn't necessarily matter all that much since like I said, the level 2 quick run is actually faster for them in most situations.
All right, well, Zach's now heading into Beast Castle, so we'll be getting that final form, all those other goodies, Auto Wisdom Guard. Beast Castle,
very nice.
Freaking loaded with good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And this fight that Zach's getting hit in right now, that is one of the many fights that you can actually lose enough health to progress in this game. You mostly find those in the first visits of worlds, and especially in the earlier worlds, like the worlds that are earlier in the vanilla progression of the game. So that is another advantage to the shotgun approach, is that you're still low on defense when you go to these fights that are very fast to just end quickly if you have no health. And it's also why you don't see runners put on armor as soon as they get armor slots a lot of the time, because you want to actually make those deaths as fast as possible.
Oh, here comes Beast.
Sonic doing some, I think just a reflect.
Reflect just destroys Beast really quickly.
I like this from Zach, swapping the Auto Valor to Auto Wisdom, so he's probably going to try to use that in the Thresholder fight, or at the very least knows that it will be an option now. He gets the final form. We get a nice little shrug out of him or something. A nice little nod.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It is funny though. Like final form is fantastic to see early. You absolutely want to see it, but it's also like you can only use it in a few spots for leveling up, because the way that drive forms level up is they all have their own individual methods of leveling. So for final form, for example, you must kill nobodies, these enemies that are on Sonic's screen right now on the left side. And like I said, Sonic will get level 2 off this almost certainly. But you can also only get drive forms up to a maximum level based on how many drive forms you have. So all that Sonic can get it to is 3 right now. And the other main place where you can level final form this early is in Twilight Town by doing the station fight. And if you do that, like if you come with a few more drive forms, you could get it all the way to like 4, maybe even 5. There are so many enemies that spawn right in a row. But if you go now, you can only get it to 3. So it's kind of like this weird balance you got to play on your judgment of where to go in terms of like, okay, well, I'm kind of giving up the potential of more checks, but I also unlock more checks because I can push further in Twilight Town. So it's this weird balance you always have to play. And as we can see on Zach's side, at some point he has checked Donald's items and now knows like he's got Flare Force. So we're seeing him use that in this fight as well, rather than going for the low health.
Yeah, one thing that Sonic just did right there is you can refresh your drive meter depending on certain cutscenes you enter, or returning to the Garden of Assemblage. And if you do that before a form runs out, it'll give you your entire gauge back, and you could use it again whenever you want. So knowing how much time you have and where you can go to recover that drive gauge ensures you basically always have a drive form available to use. And Sonic just almost using all of Final Form, that just gets into this cutscene here that refreshes it right away and can use it again whenever he wants to.
So I will say, that is absolutely correct. It's fantastic. In this particular instance, it actually didn't matter.
Okay, I'm done. Ignore me.
No. That is actually 100% correct. Like everything you said is accurate, except for the fact that also when you finish a visit, you get all your drive back. And because he didn't have limit form, there was no way for him to use a drive form in that fight. So he knew he was going to get it right back afterwards. Regardless, what you described is absolutely accurate and is going to be kept in mind all over the place. So we also did get another hint with the conclusion of Hollow Bastion. Zach got it before, but we haven't talked about it. It said that drive forms are on the path to both connection and peace. Even though we don't have any important checks from levels or drive forms yet, we can still get a little bit of information out of this. The 2 pieces of information we get is that because connection was hinted somewhere alone, and then also hinted somewhere else with another proof, that means that connection and peace cannot be in the same world. Because if they were, they would always have to be hinted together. Since they're not in the same world, that just means that if you find one in a world, you know that the other one can't be there. The other information it kind of helps give us is the number of places hinted by, or the number. Sorry, let me restart that sentence again. This is a little confusing thing. Path hints are very confusing. Certain worlds only have so many items that hint to them. So for example, I brought up Second Chance as an example earlier that hints towards levels. Levels are only hinted by Second Chance and Once More, which are both abilities. If you ever get more than 2 hints for, say, Proof of Connection, that would let you know that Proof of Connection cannot be on a level up reward. Right now, they could still be anywhere. Everything has at least 2 hints, I believe. But there are a few that only have 2 or 3. So getting some of those early also means that, due to math and statistics, it's pretty likely that Connection's not going to be on a 2-hint world, because it would be pretty low odds that the first 2 hints you get happen to be, happen to be the 2 for Connection. It's not impossible. It just means that it's less likely. We have Zach finishing off the first visit of Beast Castle here by doing this 2-stage fight. First, you have to fight the Shadow Stalker, and then you fight Darkthorn. He was using Final Form for a bit. Unfortunately, the boss did get away from him a little bit. He might be able to finish it before... it is going to go do another attack now. Yeah, that
guy
one's
is such a troll.
Yeah, you definitely prefer to have Thunder before coming here because it just loves to run away and do these attacks where it's invulnerable. Zach's also trying not to use MP. He could have finished it by using Duck Flare or using Twin Howl Beast Limit, but he's going to most likely do that in this next phase of the fight, because the second phase, the boss doesn't run away from you too bad. It still kind of can, but the more important thing is it's also way more likely to kill you. You are not going to die in the first phase of this, but the second phase you absolutely can. So he's going to, use Duck Flare, which is going to use all his MP. And if he had used that in the first fight, he would still be out of MP in the second part of the fight. And he's probably going to pop Ethers and just use it again. It looks like he's going to wait a little bit. He may use even Twin Howl. Oh, he got grabbed, so he's just going to probably use the reaction command here and swing back around. I don't think Sonic got anything in the station back there.
I was looking at it. Nothing popped up to me. But
I did see him get his third Final Form level, which just had Upper Slash and kind of mediocre ability on it, so not that big of a deal. And then the hint that Zach got is that Disney Castle is on the path to non-existence, which doesn't really give us any information right now other than the fact that all 3 proofs are in different worlds. Which is what you expect most of the time, to be fair.
They're not just all going to fall into your lap super early on. Not on these settings, at least.
Now, this is a bit interesting. Zach is coming to Simulated Twilight Town significantly earlier than I think most people generally would. You do get 1 stat for free out of this. You just got magic up, as well as 2 AP. And because he has, way higher stats than would be in the game, his mediocre attack stat is not going to hurt him too much here. You also can use magic in Simulated Twilight Town. This has been a development over time. It's been here for a little while now, but I don't remember the last time Rando was shown on GDQ, so it absolutely might not have been there the last time. Unfortunately, they still don't have a Thunder or Blizzard, so he's really... I wouldn't be shocked if he's not going to go very far into Simulated Twilight Town here, because I think right now it's going to be kind of slow. So I think he'll probably just go up to the first save point, which will mean that he'll get a free, I think a couple free checks. I don't quite remember. At the very least 1. He might take it up all the way through Twilight Thorn. I highly doubt we'll see any struggle fights yet, though, because those would be quite slow for him right now.
Is that a new development to leave Simulated Twilight Town earlier?
Yeah, that one's been in a lot.
Okay.
That one's been in a lot longer, but yeah, that is technically you did used to get locked in. It looks like Sonic actually got a hint from... Oh yeah, there's no pop-up on the end of the world, so I guess that is what counts there. So it got a hint in Twilight Town from the fairies there, the fairy god, or not fairy godmothers, just fairies. And it looks like 100 Acre is on the path to connection, another world we don't have any important checks from, so still doesn't necessarily really give us much info. It does, however, eliminate simulated Twilight Town and the level up rewards as places where proof of connection could be, since those are locations that only have 2 hints to them.
Okay.
And Sonic is going to Olympus Coliseum. Waiting on The World That Never Was is a move I also commonly do, like Sonic is right now, so I don't think it's a bad play. But unfortunately, not being able to have that glide is definitely hurting him. I wouldn't be shocked if once he gets the Olympus Stone here, he goes, oh, it might not let you until you room transition. Darn. We actually can hear Sonic too. I know you all can't, but he was just saying that's funny because he wishes he had the Olympus Stone in order to use Final Form to glide down there, but he needed a room transition before he could do so.
Having an item close to where it normally is, I think will just never not be amusing. No matter how many randos I've played, just like seeing something right there.
That one's not even that close to where it normally is, because it's like really deep in Olympus before you get that item. But I mean, obviously it's from the same world, which is still hilarious.
Yeah.
But
all right, so Sonic doing the second visit to Hollow Bastion. So we're going to continue on. There are a couple sections. We did get that membership card earlier, so that does sweeten the pot by a tiny bit. Could get that.
The membership card is the only reason Sonic can do this right now. Yeah. It's one of the few items that has changed purpose over the course of the randomizer. It unlocks it locks the second visit. You need to find the membership card in order to come to the second visit of Hollow Bastion. And Hollow Bastion second visit is quite dense with checks. You also don't have to do any fighting for a while, and the fighting you do have to do eventually is you generally want to have Final Form for, which Sonic has, although it's at its current max level. So this is a great option from him. Also on Zach's end, auto limit. The autos are more likely to show up before the dry forms because of the way the waiting works. But on Zach's end, he is doing Twilight Thorn, which is definitely slow. However, coming here did help him out. He found a blizzard, which means that he's going to be able to go to Port Royal next if he wants. I imagine that's what he'll do right after this. I don't think he's going to do the struggle fights. I may be wrong. He's got some draws. Maybe he's going to do it with Reflect. He also could be trying to do this as kind of a metagame play. Like, it's a lower percentage play early at this point in the seed, and might be trying to do it as kind of like I don't think Sonic will do this thing. But we'll see. If he doesn't leave right after this cutscene, okay, he's going to do the struggle fights. I imagine he'll be doing this with Reflect. He'll probably just like whack them and then try to reflect them, or don't even have to hit them. This is definitely going to be slow. This fight would be over by now if you come here with the tools you want to have normally. It is about a 4 or 5 second fight if you come here with Limit Form or Trinity Limit. So unfortunate that he's not doing this, or that he's having to do this now, but he might get something really good for it, which would absolutely outweigh the time loss. So it's a randomizer. It's always a gamble. You're gonna have to make some lower percentage plays sometimes, or some slower plays. Sonic checking this room because he found the unknown disc at one point. I believe that was in Beast Castle, so I'm pretty sure that Zach has it as well. It's just an item that locks that individual room.
All right, we got to do Vivi and then another one of these. So you got to do not once, but twice, but 3 total struggle fights. And it just ends as soon as you collect all the orbs, or the time runs out in your head. So obviously you don't want to wait the full time, because that is even slower. So just beat them till you get all the orbs, and the fight wins by the mercy rule, I guess, in this universe.
Yeah. I would say personally, because I always like to kind of analyze routing strategies from runners when commentating rando. Personally, I don't think this is the best play from Zach. I think going up to Twilight Thorn is fine. I think going further is maybe too much of a gamble. But, gambles pay off sometimes in randomizers. We'll see. Whereas Sonic, I think, has made fantastic routing decisions so far. I don't even think like skipping The World That Never Was is necessarily a bad thing. It's maybe one of the biggest quote unquote mistakes we could say he has right now.
Getting a thunder,
Thunder.
in Cavern of Remembrance, one of the in-game areas. Everything in here hits like a truck because this is normally like a post-game area. This is how you get to a lot of the data fights, the super bosses at the end of the game. You get torn pages, thunder elements. All right, so a lot of utility in here. More checks in 100 Acre Wood. Gonna keep on going. We'll see how far he opts to take it.
Yeah, I think he's probably just going to get the first 7 checks here and then leave rather than doing the out of bounds trick, Cavern of Remembrance skip. Just
Does he have enough
because
stuff to even do it right now?
I think so. Oh, he is going to do it. Yeah,
he's going for it. All right.
I didn't think he would because he doesn't have glide, but he does have final form, I guess. So he is going to do an out of bounds skip here. He's going to jump up onto this other platform using aerial dodge and then can not glide over this gap anyways. So he's going to use final form and jump over it and then do some attacks in order to get across, kind of stall himself in the air.
Makes it look easy.
Yeah, beautifully done from him. And we'll see him open the shortcut. Whether he decides to go further is a question. Looks like at the very least he's first going to pick up the 2 chests that he left out in here. Meanwhile, Zach is getting to some more checks now in Simulated Twilight Town. To be clear, I don't think Zach necessarily made a bad play if he had not found that blizzard. I think he should have left after finding that blizzard because he could do Port Royal really easily.
Right. Gonna keep on going up.
Sonic is currently defeating these valves by gliding into them.
Truly one of the most intimidating bosses.
Yeah, your Keyblades swing around you when you glide in final form, and if you keep mashing glide, you'll actually deal damage to things. And because Sonic has level 2 glide, he can actually glide slowly up this wall. If you try to do that with level 1 glide, it won't work. And he's going to just go ahead and do the entire Cavern of Remembrance skip here. This is going to be a little bit slower without glide, but it should be doable. I think nothing should be completely out of the realm of possibility for him with his current movement.
All right, update. Zach has continuing on through Twilight Town, picked up a fire over in that tram section. I forget what area it is. After you take the bus over, there's a fire.
Yeah, the Sunset Terrace,
there, which is nice. And a big benefit that I'm not sure we mentioned of doing core skip is it breaks all the enemy triggers. So in this entire section and through all these rooms, no very difficult enemies spawn at all. You just come in, get the checks, and leave. Now it does break it where you can't actually get the final check or 2, or I think it's just 1 check at the very end.
Just 1. Yeah, there's 1 chest that will be locked off from invisible walls that Sonic will not be able to get. But this is very common. It's pretty rare for something to end up in that chest since it's just 1 chest. But it is technically possible that something could be there. And the last time,
that's a nice piece of equipment there.
Yeah, it's just good defense.
Yeah,
defensive items in general are the least helpful, but while still being helpful kind of items. It's kind of like solo Pokemon runs. You just want a ton of... you want to be able to kill things really quickly before they can kill you, rather than being able to survive things trying to kill you.
Oh, there's another glide at the end here.
Yeah, that is helpful. Having 2 glides over your opponent is really nice. Zach will be saving time on movement everywhere. Everywhere that Sonic can't use final form, at least.
Yeah.
For example, if Zach were to go to Hollow Bastion soon, which he's not going to because he hasn't done Pride Lands yet, then he would.
It was.
He would be able to save a lot of time on the movement that Sonic's currently doing. Sonic is trying to set the game to 30 FPS and then quick run over the ledge, which unfortunately I don't think works on that particular railing. But we'll see if he's able to make this. Oh boy, I don't know about this, Sonic. I don't know if this is gonna work. Yeah, he's trying to make something happen. He has left 2 chests in this area, not counting the one that he can't get. So yeah, this I think was maybe a bit of a stretch to come here this early. I think leaving it at the front 7 chests might have been okay. Did get a Thunder and a Torn Page out of it though, but it is going to be quite the backtrack if Sonic has to come here later. I imagine he'll leave those chests for a point at which he can just do the 2 hard fights in this area, because then at least he turns the 2 chests into 3 chests.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna be eyeing Zach if he ever comes over here and does core skip, just for those last 2 items. Like, ooh man, what's it gonna be?
Yeah,
but-
he'd have to do Pride Lands first. I suspect that for Zach, actually think for both of these runners, the next thing is going to be Port Royal. It does look like Sonic's actually going to go a little further here first. He might go, I don't know, he could do like all of this first visit. I wouldn't be shocked if he just does this fight and then leaves instead of doing Demix, but we'll see.
He's
this fight
shocked us
does
many
block
times
off 2
already.
checks.
Both runners have surprised both of us throughout this. Who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do?
I think part of why Sonic is doing this right now is to get his MP or get his drive back, because he had to use it to go through Cavern of Remembrance, and he needs drive in order to be able to, use Final Form, which gives him glide, one of his best forms of movement. Yeah, he's draining all of his MP so that he can build his drive faster right now. And there was a hint found by Zach. I'm trying to read it. It looks like Pride Lands is on the path to connection and non-existence. Or excuse me, connection and peace. And that is really lucky. I don't know that Zach necessarily would have done this before getting that hint. And obviously we know that this is going to get him access to the membership card, as well as, another hint. This is fantastic. He might have done it anyways. It was a reasonable play. I mean, I commended Sonic for it when he did it. But I don't know. We'll never know if he would have without getting that hint. And that is really nice. He'll get access to that membership card, be able to go through Hollow Bastion 2. And it looks like Sonic indeed, by the way, did leave before going to Demix.
Yep, but we are going to see the next 3 checks in 100 Acre Wood. We got an item slot, a reaction boost with situational. It can be a lot of damage if you actually end up using those rather than melting the boss, and going to spin to win. So GDQ chat, I know that you know what you need to do while we watch sort of spin arounds and finish this glorified auto scroller. But Zach is on the Scar fights, a little bit more equipped than when Sonic was at C. Do the DM skip? I don't think we've gotten there yet. Yeah, so.
No, like he would have. Yeah, he didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the DM. He would have had to throw some ethers a little bit earlier. And yeah, that's okay. Sitting through 1 DM, like he'll probably only have to see the 1. Ooh, although Simba is dead, so he actually might have to see 2 DMs, which would be very unfortunate.
All right, trying to get the magic in there.
Yeah, looks like he almost had it, but if he hadn't quite used all his MP too early. Now Sonic's finishing.
Oh, I'm sorry, taking a death there on Scar. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, first death of the run. Scar sucks. That's why I was saying it was surprising when Sonic went that early. It is pretty easy to die to him, especially when you're limited on your MP restorative items. And right now, they don't have the money to just buy as many ethers as they want. So he does have to be kind of careful about it. I think the big thing is just he didn't throw an ether before doing Simba's limit in order to have it apply afterwards. And he wasn't able to keep Simba alive. So he couldn't use a second limit, which is generally how you finish the fight.
Sonic heading back into Beast's castle and did not go through and finish the fight on the first visit. Waited till he had some more things. So we did.
And you can see this goes much faster for Sonic because he was able to use Final Form gliding in order to finish it off, which actually Zach had access to, but probably just didn't think about it. That is not something I would have thought to use in that situation. Zach unfortunately took a second death. Again, this fight sucks this early. It's more surprising that Sonic didn't die than it is that Zach is dying right now. Fantastic fight from Sonic, though. He'll get the information that Zach got.
See if third time's the charm for Zach.
Okay, he's still gonna get DM'd, but as long as he can keep Simba alive this time, he's fine.
Just using Reflect to tank these hits every time he comes in. Scar is invincible during this phase, so you just gotta wait it out.
Yeah, so there we go. He let a bunch of reflect damage apply. Now he's going into a second second limit, and he'll be able to finish Sima during this. We're getting we're getting to hear the secret words from Sonic about how surprised he is at finding the glide here in the world that never was. So
yeah,
he knows that
was Sonic's first glide, right? Wasn't the other one like
Yeah.
in Twilight Town, simulated Twilight Town? So yeah.
Yeah, that's his first
But we're
one.
gonna see
He
Roxas.
also he said that probably like expecting that Zach has already done that. So because Zach has made it known before that he includes the world that never was in his like those 4 chests in his shotgunning.
Judging by the amount of dodging that is going on here, we're going to be waiting for a reaction command on Roxas to steal the Keyblades and maybe some shatter coming up.
Yeah, he 100% is.
Yeah, so you're just going to take Roxas, get him into the side of the wall, and then you're just going to look at him and spam square to quick run and see that bar slowly draining at the top. Well, we gotta wait a little bit. So let's look over while Roxas is getting chip damage to death. We are
Yeah,
seeing
this is going to be the next 2 minutes of Sonic's life. I'm actually really surprised that Sonic did this before Port Royal, given that he does have the Thunder. That's a little shocking to me. Maybe he's worried about this fight that Zach's doing right now going a little slow because he doesn't have any real great method of grouping the enemies together. A level 1 magnet is not super fantastic at doing that. But otherwise, I think that Zach is making a good move here. He also could have gone to Hollow Bastion 2, especially since his final form is not at its maximum level right now. But I think kind of right now for Zach, Twilight Town 1, Hollow Bastion 2, and Port Royal 1 are all pretty equivalent choices. There's not really any reason to do one versus the other too much, and it's kind of down a little bit to runner preference at that point. So I just think this is a good option rather than quick running Roxas, which while is easy and gets you access to later checks, it is slow compared to fighting him later. However, if you die, that pretty much kills the time save you would get later on anyways. So it's not uncommon to quick run Roxas even for higher level runners, especially on harder settings.
There we go. The final thing. Boom. We get an ultimate mushroom. Excellent. It's nothing. And access to further on in the world that never was. So yeah, quick run Roxas, easy, takes forever. So
yeah, Roxas gets you something like 15 or 16 checks or somewhere in that ballpark. So it is a lot of value for doing a 2-minute time investment. Like, don't get me wrong. Or I guess like 2.5 minutes or so. It just like when you're sometimes you try to push it off as long as you can. And I wouldn't be shocked if like Sonic might have pushed it off if he had glide. Proof of Peace, yeah, one of our 3 items that we need. So if you are a runner of this game, you seeing that in this world pretty much is like a wash because you have to finish this world in order to beat the game, like period. And your opponent also knows that. So your opponent is 100% going to, finish this world at some point.
So your opponent knows that you know this.
Okay,
So these sorcerers, I think is what they're called, by far one of my most hated enemies in the game. They only got like 1 or 2 attacks, but if they hit you, the worst.
Yeah, these are the hardest regular enemies in the game. That's why they put a ton of them in a super late game part of Cavern of Remembrance. Sonic is... Did he get any XP boosts that I didn't see? Like, that's pretty much the main reason I would think that he wanted to go low health. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. The experience boost was on some Keyblade. It looks like it's Final Form's Keyblade, actually. So this is why he does... This makes extra, like, sense on why he quick ran Roxas and came here and stuff. The enemies here, this is the last world in the story order, so they have they give you a lot of experience, and if you can get low health, you can take them out. Especially the enemies on this elevator here are notorious since you have to wait on this elevator anyways. Being able to take out 3 late game nobodies gives you quite a bit of experience.
Little mini XP opportunity there for Zach. There's a 1 minute something auto scroller. You have to wait for the time to run out before you can progress. So you just might as well kill some enemies, get some XP while you're at it. And continuing on
you also,
further-
importantly, you get a lot of money from that fight. So that's another reason like Port Royal is pretty handy, is being able to get a lot of money when you don't have a money pouch. And that'll let you buy more ethers and stuff like that. Did Zach actually go low health in the 1 minute fight?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Okay, so he probably also was using the EXP boost when he did it, which is another reason, like what Sonic's doing, to go here. Like you go to a place where you have to sit for a required amount of time, no matter what, and you can get some extra experience out of it to make yourself stronger.
So we got Sonic taking out our good friend Zigbar. Didn't see what his equip set. I know he has like horizontal slash and berserk charge, which
Yeah.
can be useful, but we'll see what strat he opts to do.
That's probably what he's going to do. He's going to use Duck Flare to get rid of his MP and then use horizontal slashes while using Berserk Charge. Berserk Charge makes it so that when your MP bar is pink like it is now and it's in that MP charge form, it will never end your combo. Like your combo will not end unless you use some very specific abilities. So he's able to just constantly use Berserk Charge or Horizontal Slash here, and it actually will stun lock this fight if you do it perfectly. For most runners, you won't stun lock from 100 to 0, and that's why you move in. You wait until Zigbar puts you in this side room because he won't be able to do much to you even if he breaks out. Sonic is extremely good at this technique though, so like he didn't even need to put him in the side room if he didn't want, but it's absolutely a good safety measure to take. And does a great job going through that one. Worst case, if he breaks out, you can always just go into final form, get rid of your MP, and then there's also a Berserk Charge strat with final form. So it's generally pretty safe even if he breaks out. Now Sonic is going to try to get low health here again and do some EXP boosting on these enemies. Doing this like, you only have to get half health or lower. So doing this right now, while it's super scary because he doesn't have any method of protecting himself from death, like a second chance or once more, but the reward is really nice. You get a lot of experience from these enemies. And we can see he's already getting close to level 30 and Zach is currently level 19. So that's a pretty big difference.
Well, Sonic finishes this up. We did get a second reflect right before the Barbossa fight here, and doing some grade A juggling. Barbossa just waiting a little bit and does it wonderfully. And that is, I think, the first leg of Port Royal. Does that give us a hint?
Yes, it should on this pop-up here in a second. Where we got it. Looks like Halloween Town is on the path to non-existence. Pretty much until worlds are completely blue, that's not going to, tell you too much. In fact, he doesn't even have any item from there. He does have 2 hints about non-existence, so if he gets another one, it will eliminate a couple worlds. But for now, that really doesn't tell him too much. Looks like Sonic is going to probably push on even further. Sonic also got Aerial Spiral in Cavern of Remembrance, by the way, which is an ability that makes Sora kind of like do a bunch of backflips while he's, or maybe front flips, while he's attacking in the air. And it is nice for like this fight. It's nice for any time you want to use Duck Flare because it helps Duck Flare do more damage. So just kind of a nice little ability. It's nothing that's that big of a deal though.
This boss.
He might die. Yeah, Sonic unfortunately mistimed his reflect by just a hair.
I think that's Sonic's first death of the run.
He did die trying to get into EXP boost range earlier. So he's actually at 2. Both of them are at 2 right now. But Sonic's have both been pretty fast, especially his first one, whereas Zach's were a little bit longer.
Luxord can be, I don't know how to put this kindly other than, like, it can be a butt. This is one of the hardest fights for me. It's kind of super awkward. There's a whole bunch of, like, mechanics unique to this fight. A lot of, managing the menu and pressing buttons in the menu to play his games. Do you know the rules, Hans?
Yeah, it's rough. In particular, this fight also got worse on 60 FPS. A lot of things in this game got a lot better. This fight got worse because the cards do not reliably always do the same thing anymore. So you can't like build strategies that rely on their movement. I mean, you can, but it won't necessarily go your way. There's a reason Sonic is using this particular Keyblade as well. Right now, the way this game does stat scaling or level scaling is that every world has a coded value through which the bosses and I think maybe even normal enemies, I think it's mostly just bosses though, will it'll scale your stats up to. So to be more specific with an example scenario, the world that never was where Sonic is right now, if your strength stat is less than, let's say 30, 31, it's something around there, you will do the same damage anywhere from a strength stat of 1 to 30. Once you are at 31 or higher, you'll start doing more damage based on how much strength you have, up to a cap, which is somewhere in the 40s.
All right,
so if you have like 60 strength, it won't matter. Yeah, he should finish him off here.
All right.
Nice.
DM skip, well done. Skips this long section where you have to, do another mini game that I personally have never performed successfully.
Really?
I've never gotten. I don't understand how it works. I don't know the rules.
Yeah. I do want to say it was harder to tell, but I did suspect it based on how the patterns were. Sonic did make sure that his FPS was set to 30 before doing that fight, and that made those cards more consistent, the cards I was talking about before. So that was one of the reasons he felt comfortable doing that fight, as well as another, he had the finishing plus Keyblade, which allowed him to do a loop for a little bit. And on top of that, the finishing plus Keyblade has 7 strength, which lets their strength stat be pretty high relative to this world's minimum levels. Magic stat be pretty high relative to this world's minimum levels, and that helps you, deal more damage with that magic. It's now fighting Psyx, which has a good loop to it as well that involves Reflect, sneaking in a Thunder as well in between because his magic is his highest stat right now. And I imagine he's going to go Final Form pretty much right after a full combo here. Oh, Donald's dead. Okay, he's not reviving him right now. So he's probably going to get Berserked. Yeah, so Sonic is just letting this happen and is going to, break him out of it instantly.
Though, so that was great.
Meanwhile, Zack is also doing something we haven't seen yet. He's doing the second visit of Twilight Town. He must have found the picture somewhere, which he did in Port Royal. And that is allowing him to get just a few more checks, as well as get some experience on Final Form. Although he had gone through the station fight, so he probably just got it to maximum level there. Sonic, so far, not much is happening. He did get Stitch. I missed that. So that is a utility tool that he found here. And it does look like Zack has access to the second visit of Port Royal now, thanks to Twilight Town 2, which he is going to go do immediately because you really just have to get through one fight, and it's one of the easiest fights in the game in order to get a lot of checks here. Meanwhile, Sonic was trying to get to below half experience or below half health again in order to do some more experience boosting. Unfortunately, he gets one shot by the attack he was trying to use, so he'll just take them out for their normal experience and maybe try to get hit by a different one at some point. He got hit a couple times there. He's going to try to prompt this enemy to attack him again, and he's kind of positioning himself weirdly to get only hit by half of the combo, and he did it perfectly, which is extremely difficult to do, so nicely done from him.
These dancer enemies as well, definitely one of the more frustrating enemies if you don't know how to deal with them.
Oh, Sonic looks like he forgot to have the experience boost Keyblade on.
All right, so that fight you were mentioning, here it is. Now the second fight, the one at the very end of Port Royal, that's another story. It could just take a while.
That one sucks. It's easy to die.
It's really bad.
Long
this one,
if you don't have good tools. But yeah, Sonic is trying to get low health again, but unfortunately, this is the risky run trying to EXP boost without second chancer once more. It's just really hard to get into the right health range. But these checks, because they are much deeper in this world, that is where the item placement is more likely to weigh good checks. Same with why Zack is doing second visit of Port Royal. So Sonic found a magnet. Magnera is way better than regular magnets, so that's fantastic. And Zack found a couple things. He got Trinity Limit, which is a really good ability, and he also got the Scimitar, which unlocks the second visit of Agrabah. and he does technically have. Oh no, he doesn't have a thunder. No, he does. Okay, so he does technically have the ability to do that, but he probably won't for a little bit. I would guess. I don't know. Sonic will probably do Port Royal before ever going to Simulated Twilight Town, which means that he'll have Trinity limit for that, so he'll save a lot of time on Zach there. But if Zach keeps delaying the world that never was, then he'll have a much easier time going through it and getting low health compared to what Sonic has been doing. Probably save himself back some time on deaths there.
Yeah, so this here is going to be the final portion of World That Never Was for Sonic. You got this forced little bits of a quick time event here. You don't press the button, as I learned very early on. As soon as you see it, there's a time. You have to wait for it to flash 3 times. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, bam, there it is. This will give you the most beneficial outcome to this quick time event. And if he does it right, he doesn't have to do that again. Though at low HP, Xemnas will try and lock you into that cutscene again. So we'll see if Sonic can take care of it.
Yeah, Sonic, his tools are interesting for getting that skip. We'll see. He's extremely good at the game. I think he actually took that first hit intentionally because I think he has auto limit, if I remember correctly, and he'll probably try to take another hit at some point in order to get in crit health. Although with how much damage that first hit did, he might not be able to safely. Ooh, he's gonna get hit by some of this. He might. Oh,
he's trying.
He's right at. Yeah. He was right at the edge of the range, so he didn't get trapped, but he did intentionally get hit again to try to get into auto limit range. But unfortunately, it's so risky to do right now. It's a very risky strategy that has. I'd be doing the same thing he is. I would be doing it because it will help pay off and get you, let you skip a longer animation at the end of it while also potentially giving you some extra benefit, like some levels on your limit form. Right. So I understand absolutely why he's going for it. It's just risky, and sometimes risks are going to lead to death.
For those of you who may just be joining us, you're watching Game Masters on the GDQ Hotfix, and we're showcasing Kingdom Hearts 2 Randomizer, a race of Sonic Shadow Silver 2 versus Zack the Robot. We do have a settings command in chat, !settings, if you are curious what we are doing, but the goal is collect 3 proofs, beat the game. And how those are placed can be further detailed there. But Xemnas or Sonic, attempt number 2. I don't think going for the the auto limit this time. So
he might. He still could. I wouldn't put it past him, but it is definitely hard. He might have decided not to this time around. If anything, he'll probably try to get hit by the longer combo, but he did just run his MP out, so now, he's just going to try to fight the boss. I don't think he's going to be able to kill him here without seeing another building unless he does stair shenanigans. He got grabbed by the spell effect there, so he's going to have to do the building. This is the animation he was trying to skip a second time, but it's not the worst thing. It's just a little bit slower than finishing him off without it. And Zack, meanwhile, is now finally entering Cavern of Remembrance. I say finally, this is a normal time to enter it. It's just a lot later than Sonic did. And I fully expect Zack to do core skip and get all of the checks here that we saw from Sonic, as well as the 2 that Sonic couldn't get with his movement set at the time.
Some potential there. We'll see. But, there it is. The cutscene's over. Xemnas is down. And now all Sonic really has to do after collecting the 3 proofs, and I imagine that literally is more than comfortable taking out anything with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there is the data fight with Xemnas there, and thankfully Sonic knows he doesn't have to do it because the world number turned blue in the bottom right corner of Sonic's tracker. That world number turned blue, and that means that there are no more important checks there. There's no more, magic, summons, all that kind of good stuff. So as a result, that means that if he ever gets a hint about that world, he will have a definitive sublist for which a subset of worlds for which the proof that is hinted can be. And it also just means he's never going to have to fight Data Xemnas, which is always a nice, breath of relief.
Zack had a little bit of trouble there with core skip and went back out for something. I wasn't sure exactly what, but is back in now. If you fall, it actually will warp you out of this area now. That was a change by the community. He's trying to do a method that is pretty difficult, I find,
I struggle with the same thing he's doing a lot of the time, which is trying to drop from your ledge grab into an aerial dodge up onto the higher ledge. It's really easy to bonk your head and mess that up, especially at lower levels of aerial dodge. So yeah, not too surprised that that's happening right now. We get another glide for Sonic on Prison Keeper, so that's the third glide we know of, the second glide for Sonic. Looks like he will be finishing this world. Zach having some trouble landing on a ledge, then has to get the party members out of the way here.
Yeah, Donald and Goofy, if they're in the wrong spot, can just prevent you from easily going out of bounds.
He's out of bounds. All right. Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble with this one right now. Sometimes also when you mess up like once on course skip, it's one of those tricks where just the pressure starts getting to you and you just start making basic mistakes. All right, good. He's out of bounds now. Gonna probably do a quick run setup. Oh, he got pushed by Goofy, I think.
Thanks, Goofy. All right, but Donald's out of bounds, trying to show us how it's done. Yeah, there, Donald.
Yeah, that actually could cause problems too. Okay, so as long as Goofy doesn't push him this time, he's probably gonna quick run into an aerial dodge. He might be a little bit aiming to the right. Okay, he's good. Oh, no! But the arrow dodged a little too far to the right.
Yeah, just missing that ledge.
This is really tricky. Like, Sonic made it look a lot easier earlier than it really is. It's extremely annoying at lower ability levels. Oh, he's actually going to bail at this point from it. Yeah. So he's going to do some experience boosting in Space Paranoids.
Yeah, Zach not feeling it, and understandable. And I think we know that... What was back there? Was there anything like super useful?
Thunder, a torn page, aerial spiral, definitely good things. And there's two chests that we don't even know about. Mm-hmm. So
but we already got the thunder and the torn page. So that was early on pre-core skip. So Zach was able to get both of those. I didn't see about the aerial spiral though.
I think that was a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. But not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean,
Zach
I would definitely
know that, so it's going to be on the back of his mind there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something he would love to be doing. I don't think this is a bad call, though. I'm actually kind of surprised. Well, I'm not that surprised, but I was going to say, like, Sonic also has this Space Paranoids grind available to him right now, and it would have saved him a lot of headaches compared to the grinding he was doing in The World That Never Was, where it was hard to get below half health without dying. However, you can still die pretty easily in this one, especially without Stitch, which Sonic has, but Zach doesn't. In fact, we see him option play into final form, which refills your health, so he's no longer getting boosted experience, but now he can just try to take another hit and be a little bit higher health than he was to prevent a death. So yeah, he's not much higher health, but final form will also make it a lot easier to kill a lot of enemies here. And then once he runs out of final form, he'll probably pop an ether and use some magnets.
Yep, so enemies will spawn for this entire duration. You just have to not tunnel too hard. I myself have forgotten to pay attention to the timer.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, shoot.
Okay, so he actually just bailed a little early. Either didn't want to spend the ethers, which is pretty reasonable, or just didn't want to risk dying, which is even more reasonable given where his health was. So he just decided to take what he could get from the experience, not risk dying, and just move on. Looks like Sonic is doing Olympus Coliseum. The downside of coming here is that you have quite a few required things that you have to do before you really start getting to a lot more checks. However, the upside is once you do all those things, you get a whole bunch of checks right in a row. And for anybody who doesn't know randomizer terminology, when I say checks, like we've both been saying this a bunch, it just means locations that could have, or that do have a randomized item in them. An item that has been shuffled around and spit out in a random location. We call any of those locations a check. Check density is a big factor when you're deciding where to go.
So this boss, Zach, is fighting now. Duck Flare, as usual, very, very good. He's going to spin around the room. There's going to be a couple situations where he doesn't catch it. Just kind of has to wait a little bit to freeze it, but does have enough clusters. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to... Nah, I don't think he's going to be able to instantly.
No, he's just hoping to get to the next phase, which I think he's unfortunately still needs a little bit of damage to do. You kind of got to break all of Hostile Program's armor. Which he's trying to do one more thunder. Oh, it's lower than I thought. Okay, it was two more thunders. So he unfortunately doesn't have enough clusters to freeze him yet, but he was able to pick up enough. This is the main spot you want to freeze the boss and try to finish the health in, which is why he's using Duck Flare again now. Pop some ethers for that. Sonic doing a great job with the little Earns minigame. He'll get him here. It's fine. Okay, yeah. So
I still
Zach
love
finishing
that
this world.
minigame though. It goes from like beginner to like there's only 2 levels, like the intro beginner one, and then it was like some I forget what it's called. It's just something ridiculous.
Maniac.
Like, Maniac
for the Earns. Yeah. So now Sonic's getting to his.
No hard, it's just Maniac.
Sonic's getting his big check density now. We'll see if he's able to get anything from Olympus Coliseum. So far, I don't think the path hints have really played much of a factor into this routing just yet. Although there is the Pride Lands hint that Zach has. That does help because he's found quite a few things there. Zach is also going through the world that never was now. I think because of his magic, he might try not to quick run Roxas here and is going to do a loop. Yeah, he'll probably do a loop involving Thunder, Blizzard, and Reflect. You do normally need Guard Break for that loop, though, so he actually, he's going to get Desperation moved by Roxas here and have to sit through this one, unfortunately. I wouldn't even be shocked if this is not the last time we see that move from Roxas.
It is a cool move, and taking it down.
Yeah, he tried to dodge roll away from the lasers and got just caught by the combo from Roxas there before he could get a Reflect off. So now that he's realized, I can't do the loop because I don't have Guard Break, I wonder if he'll stay here, if he's going to potentially go somewhere else. He might just be room saving, or if he'll do even a different strat potentially.
Yep.
Sonic does not appear to have really gotten a whole lot of value out of Olympus Coliseum so far.
Still a handful of checks here.
Oh, we got Bone
the
Fist.
Bone Fist. Incredible. What is Bone Fist?
Bone Fist grants him access to the second visit of Halloween Town.
There we go.
He did get Guard Break, which is funny because that's what Zach needs in order to do the loop he's trying to do, which is kind of funny. But eventually, Zach is probably either going to just decide to fight him or, just quick run. Like fight him in a kind of slow method or quick run him in an even slower method. And he just took off dodge roll, which means he's probably just going to quick run the boss now. So those 2 deaths soaking up a bit of time, but we saw Sonic die a lot in trying to get into, EXP boost range higher on. So
I know he's still going.
I was going to just say if Zach isn't able to, or decides not to do that, then he won't lose too much time from those deaths.
Yeah, going with the dodge, waiting for that reaction command to come in. I don't know what actually prompts it to appear. I know it's just you just don't hit him for a while and it'll come in with the cutscene.
Yeah. It's Roxas has to use 4 moves without being attacked, basically. So he attacked him at the beginning to get some damage in. If you push him too far, on his health bar, if you do too much damage, then he won't do that move. When you just wait for 4 attacks, he'll instead do the Desperation move. So that's another reason why can't damage him too much, but you want to damage him a little bit so that it speeds up this part of it. The other way to speed this part up is having Trinity Limit or Limit Form. Trinity Limit is locked behind this because it was at the top of this world at the very end, and Limit Form we have not seen yet. So unfortunately, this is not going to get any faster for him. Sonic's able to get the Feather Charm, which is access to the Peter Pan summon from Olympus Coliseum. Not going to matter too much unless they have to fight some specific bosses later. And gets a hint that says Beast Castle is on the path to connection, which means that Dry Forms are an option right now for holding the path, the proof of connection. It's they could be there. There's still more things that could be in Beast Castle. We actually know where the Beast Claw is, the thing locking the second visit of Beast Castle, because Zach found it in Simulated Twilight Town. So whenever Sonic decides to go there, he'll be able to push further in Beast Castle. Until then, that world, right now, Dry Forms are a potential option for proof of connection, but not the only option.
There is Roxas for Zach again. The slow but safe way probably just really is all right, took a little bit of hit there, but we're moving on. That's what's important.
Yeah, that goes from the method that you use every time you fight Roxas when you start doing this randomizer to eventually the method you want to try not to use, because while it is easy, it is very much slower than doing some other loops. But as we saw, even the best of the best will die a couple times trying to do other methods, especially if they don't have the perfect tool set. So it's absolutely still one you pull out of your back pocket a lot. Zach switching from retaliating slash to aerial recovery. Both of them are just methods to get yourself to have air control after a big hit. Usually a way to kind of just fall a bit faster, honestly. And
We'll see if Zach does the same as Sonic did, heading all the way through, through Xemnas 1. And
I suspect he will, although I don't think he's going to do the same experience boost grinding we saw from Sonic. I wouldn't be shocked if he does some of it, but especially, the fact, given that he kind of bailed on the experience grind in Space Paranoids a bit faster, I wouldn't be shocked if he's going to play it a bit safe and try not to die getting into low health. Sonic, meanwhile, is working on the final boss of Olympus Coliseum in terms of the story. That is Hades here in the second visit, and is most likely going to be using a Berserk Charge Final Form method here. So he's going to drain all of his MP in order to get in that pink recharge form, and then hit Hades over and over again. He does not have Cure, which is how you would normally drain all of your MP. So instead he was using some magnets because it costs the most MP, and then some fires just to deal some extra damage. Now, he is on 30 FPS to make this more consistent, although you can do it at higher FPS, and just wailing on the boss as much as possible. Doesn't have a super high level final form though, because it's the only drive form either of these runners has, and so he's now going to have to use Berserk Charge instead. Berserk Charge is sketchy on this fight, and he just broke out because your Keyblade length kind of matters a lot, and the Keyblade he's using is not very big, but he was able to make it work, and he got Explosion and Magnet Burst, which are the two magic finishers for both the ground and air, respectively, and are two of the best abilities that they could find in this seed, given their current, magic-focused build.
And
Zach trying to fight Zigbar straight up, unfortunately, ends up paying the price. I didn't see if he was going to try to set up for a Berserk Charge method, and unfortunately
so I think he definitely intended to.
Yeah, so he might have just accidentally pushed the boss too far on its health bar to get him to change rooms, and then just had to improvise. Or he might have just thought, I'm strong enough, I'll just kind of wail on him and see how it goes. But yeah, I would bet that he probably just accidentally did too much damage. Okay, well, he's definitely doing way more than too much damage there. So, okay, he's just trying to do it without forcing the boss into a second room, which is scary because the boss can break out, which is probably what happened last time. Meanwhile, on the left, we're seeing our first Absent Silhouette fight. Sonic is fighting Zexion. This is one of the easier Absent Silhouettes. Now Zach's going to get DM'd because he didn't put him in a second room. But he should be able to survive this. It's just going to drain a lot of his final form. And Sonic has to deal with a couple attacks from Zexion here, since he did not have a method of kind of cheesing this fight. Normally you would use final form and fire. Sonic doesn't have a fire, so he used final form to refill his MP and then finishes off Zexion for a cure. The Zexion still has something else for him, at least one more item, because the world didn't turn blue, so we'll see on the pop-ups here.
And Duck Flare for the finish.
Has a fire. Yeah, Zexion had a fire, which is just kind of funny since Sonic didn't have one. But no proof, so no more Olympus Coliseum for Sonic. And he is going to use that Magna Burst and Explosion in Agrabah. Bit interesting. I'm like really shocked that Sonic hasn't gone to Port Royal yet. I don't know if he just hasn't been thinking about it, or if he doesn't care at the moment because it's not hinted. Like, the world he's in is hinted right now, so this isn't a bad play by any means. I'm just a little bit surprised he hasn't been to the other world yet. But maybe I just value it higher than I should. I don't know.
And we'll see if it pays off never having to go to Port Royal in the first place. But what do we get in Port Royal so far? We got
the picture, another reflect, a hint as we knew we would get, and the scimitar. Actually, there's only 13 hints and there's more than 13 worlds, so I guess your levels won't have one and drives won't have one. So I guess that's what doesn't. But yeah, if Sonic ever wants to do Agrabah 2, he'll have to go to Port Royal. Zach was building some of his drive back in that previous section, by the way. Just trying to make it so that he'll be able to go final form in the next fight, in the Psyx fight, or maybe even auto limit in his current fight. I don't remember if he actually found auto limit or not. Meanwhile,
I don't think he's been
Sonic.
there yet, but yeah. Having high magic stats in a relatively early area, you know, this whole area kind of melts. And the best camera in the game, you got to turn around and make sure you come back here for these 2 checks. The game just wants you to leave, ignore the treasure. We're not going to do that.
Well, it doesn't actually normally spawn you here. It spawns you where Sonic is right now. And that's
worse.
Yeah, so it's actually Rando changed it to spawn you in the treasure room because the common play was to go back down there and get those 2 chests anyways, and it just kind of took forever and sucked. So Rando made it so that you just spawn there instead. So the downside kind of doing where Sonic is right now is that the Chasm of Challenges, the treasure room, and the fight he's doing now are all great places to level drive forms. Specifically, Wisdom and Valor are pretty good, but you can even do like Master Form and Limit Form here as well. But your options, eventually you got to give up places like that. You know, you can level drive forms in a lot of different places and you don't always have them. So you got to just decide where to go. And Sonic making very quick work of these bosses. Gets another glide out of it. So we've seen all 4 of them now. And Sonic goes from being behind for a while in terms of glides with 0 to now being ahead of Zach with 3.
I think the only one Sonic doesn't have is Simulated Twilight Town. Hasn't been over there just yet.
Correct. And is going to go to Disney Castle to do the windows. Also has a hint for Disney Castle, so looks like he is prioritizing those big time.
Oh no, Zach taking a death towards the end of Luxor. That is a very rough death. Be heading back into it.
Yeah, I didn't see if he was taking hits intentionally to try to get into auto limit, or if he just unfortunately got caught by a card. Very easy to have happen to you. Either way, unfortunate that he wasn't able to capitalize on the time losses that Sonic had here from deaths. And a death on the end of a boss fight is also quite a bit more costly than a death just trying to get into experience boost range. So really unfortunate. And of course, Zach doesn't know that. You have to assume, unless, you know, you have to assume your opponent is playing perfectly, right? Like that's just how it goes until you are proven otherwise. So I'm sure he's feeling like these deaths have been costing him quite a bit in this seed.
All right, I think
Good dodge
we're on
there,
to number 3 of the windows for Sonic. I'm amazed we haven't found like any other limits at all. I feel like at least one other than Final should have popped up by now. But you know, it's random.
Oh, you mean forms? Like any other drive forms?
Yeah, forms. I'm getting my terminology confused. Nobody, heartless, whatever. You know, it's just like...
Yeah, the drive forms are mythic in terms of how, like, what their value is to the randomizer, which is the highest value something can be, and so are the second visit world locks. But the second visit world locks, you know, have to show up in order to lock other things, in order to make other things really deep. So drive forms are on these kinds of settings, they're going to be hard to find. This is definitely like a long time to go without finding more of them though, for sure. Sonic doing a neat little thing there where you normally can't use magic on this cage, but if you use like a thunder or something similar right as you grab the hook, it actually will apply the damage. So since magic is still their highest stat, he decided to do that. Neat little
All right, I'm
technique.
writing that down. Okay. Things to learn. Got it. And
Zach.
Luxord has been taken down by Zach. Good revenge.
Yeah, and another neat kind of strategy at the end there, he, rather than using Blizzard, he used a fire into Trendy limit, so that way it would warp him right up next to the boss, and then the fire would take the boss out. I don't know that it necessarily was any faster than using Blizzard, to be clear, but it's cooler, so got to do it. And now going to go for Syx. He said this is definitely a fight that still trips him up sometimes. One of his least favorites in this world. But with his current tool set, I think that's mostly if you just don't have like Reflect or something. His current tool set is really good for this boss. Like having Duck Flare Final Form and Reflect, as well as a Finishing Plus, are pretty much all of the things that you want for this. I guess except Peter Pan, but like you don't do Peter Pan on at this kind of level.
Yeah, we'll
Looks
have
like
to
he's
do
gonna
one more
go with the
Berserk
same.
phase.
Yeah, same strategy we saw from Sonic.
And
Neither of them deciding to try to resurrect Donald.
Yeah, a couple more reflects and should go down like right here. Boom. And one more boss. For Zach's
Yeah, and thankfully,
number ones.
Xemnas, while still like not that easy necessarily, is the easiest of the bosses here. Unless you count Quick Running Roxas. And so it hopefully shouldn't be too bad for him. We did see Sonic take a death trying to use auto limit strats though, so it is still very possible, of course.
Yeah, Sonic did
is
damage
now
down there before heading into this, kind of implies he wants to do some running, but then just takes it to the face.
Yeah, they're paper thin defense right now. So what Sonic was trying to do, he has access to Stitch, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So what he was trying to do was go in with enough health to take a hit so that he'd be near like 1 HP, then use Stitch. Otherwise, normally you would just use Stitch before entering the fight. But because of where their defense is and their health, they're at this like very awkward level of damage range where it's hard to get hit as much as you exactly want to in this scenario, and easy to get hit either too much or too little. So it's really weird. I think he's going to probably try to do the same thing if he has enough HP, or he might just skip Stitch altogether and just go with like Thunder Explosion.
All right.
Meanwhile,
Speaking of Stitch,
yeah, Zach's using him in order to try to get these last chests because he can help deflect some of the bullets here.
yeah, the sorcerers were being just a total jerk. Wanted to get that magnets and has been.
I'm kind of surprised Sonic. So the main reason Sonic isn't summoning Stitch right now is that Stitch will gradually restore your health slowly over time. And if it ends up above half HP, then you're out of luck. You are no longer EXP boosting. But he has a lot of HP, so I feel like he could probably be summoning him around now and not have to use quite as many ethers. It's very possible Sonic also found like a money pouch somewhere that we never saw. Because it's so easy to miss things when you're watching two different randomizers. Or two different people running through a randomizer.
Yeah, we're doing our best to keep track of all the important stuff. And we have their trackers to look at. So we're like, oh, yeah, that was important. And yeah.
Okay, Zach
Xemnas
is going to
for
try. He is going to try to use auto limit here, like we saw from Sonic. We'll see if it goes better for him, because we know how this went for Sonic. But yeah, he definitely took that first hit intentionally. He's going to get hit here, and that's not enough. So the smart money here is to potion, I think, if they don't have item boosts. Yeah, it looks like he was a little bit scared there, or he maybe just decided to option out and take the play. I think the final hit of this attack, it will kill him if he tries to get hit by it. Yeah, so he bailed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he realizes he cannot take another hit. Oh, boy. Okay. He could have maybe tried to do a tiny optimization there, but he's also maybe trying to finish him in Trinity limit. I don't think he will, and I don't think he's not going to have the damage to finish him here. So he's just going to take another building. He has resigned to his fate.
Come closer.
Come closer.
Meanwhile, Sonic is now progressing further. He's gotten all the way to level 42, got a Torn Page while doing the XP boosting, and there's only 8 more levels on these settings that could have rewards. Did not realize that there was an EXP boost there when Zach went through there. That's pretty funny. The second EXP boost being behind a spot that you commonly want to EXP boost in is just mean. We'll remind folks if they want to know the settings, they can use !point settings in chat to get a brief description of what they're doing here. But the main thing is they are trying to collect 3 proofs. They are the proof of peace, the proof of connection, and the proof of non-existence in order to unlock the door to the final bosses. And they are using a hint system that helps them find those a bit easier.
A little
At this
bit
point-
of retracing from... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I did not realize that Sonic got a hint for The World That Never Was earlier. And so that means we can definitively narrow down the worlds that Proof of Peace is in. So Proof of Peace can either be where you find Stitch in the base game, which is in Hollow Bastion, or it can be where you find Magnet in the base game, which is in The World That Never Was, Port Royal, and Halloween Town. So
Okay.
Sonic knows that Hollow Bastion, Port Royal, and Halloween Town are the 3 locations for Proof of Peace. Oh, Proof of Peace or The World That Never Was, but that's right, they found it in The World That Never Was, so never mind.
All
Wait,
right,
no, wait, is that Proof of Peace? or Proof
We
of
got a
non-existence?
proof.
What?
I thought it was the proof of peace in there, but it's been like that looks like the symbol for
it
proof
is,
of
it
peace
is
to me.
peace. Yeah. So it was there. I totally forgot. They already got it
All
there.
right, so
that was so
I
long
just want to
ago.
commend Hobbs for big braining and realizing through the big braining that okay, there's
It didn't matter.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, well, basically, it helps give you a better idea of this hint system, at least. So, because it hinted Proof of Peace, the magnet is what was hinting it. Because a magnet you do in the vanilla game, get one in The World That Never Was off of Luxord. So, that is what was like the hint was referring to, and saying like why the Proof of Peace was hinted by that world.
Sonic doing one of my favorite absent silhouette bosses because for me, this is the one where your HP was basically the same on crit versus beginner. The number over the head, that's the amount of hits you can take, and it is based off of Sora's level. So Sonic is level 42, so the number above the head is 42, and that says how many times the boss can hit you before you lose. There are other sources of damage in this fight that have to be avoided and can kill you, but that's like the main thing of concern.
Yeah, this fight is also the most fun out of the Epson
It's a
silhouettes.
blast.
It's
I
fantastic.
love this fight.
Sonic is going to do a loop that is extremely useful in this fight, which is every time he's going into the center here, waiting for the boss to teleport and then using fire. And the reason he's doing that is because if he catches the boss, which there's only like a frame or a few frames to catch the boss at the middle here, then he will prevent the boss from doing an attack that involves a lot of these 3 large pools that deal health damage rather than damage to your counter. And it's just so nice. Now, using Final Form in order to deal some damage as well. He's going to use Comet. I bet he would have preferred Duck Flare there. He might have had Comet on for another boss or something and forgot to switch it back. Not sure. Or maybe he just likes Comet there. I don't know. But I think he probably wanted Duck Flare. And he's going to try to skip getting any more Desperation moves. There's 2 different DMs this boss can do. The one that he just used was one of them. But yeah, he's actually not going to be able to skip it. If he had Duck Flare, he probably could. But that was likely just a small mistake, forgetting to switch the Keyblade or the staffs back. Zach
Was
is
doing
moving on.
hitless until right there at the very end, just hitting one combo, and the boss is taken out. Well done by Sonic. And
Yeah, great job.
going for a magic carpet ride.
Yeah, Zach's doing Agrabah 2. We're going to see if we get any more things from... no, we got nothing else from Marluxia there for Sonic. So that means Terra has some important checks on him, 1 or more. and that will help hint the location of the proof of non-existence. However, you need the proof of connection in order to unlock the ability to fight Terra. And Terra, or Lingering Will, is like the hardest boss fight in the whole game. So it is not fun to do really early. They do have some methods of being able to, cheese him a little bit and maybe make him a bit easier, but it's still scary because nothing that they have is like super, super consistent on him. But yeah, they do have something they can do, so I wouldn't be shocked if Sonic ends up fighting him if he gets the proof of connection, because that is extremely useful to have a direct subset of knowledge on a proof, and especially when the number of items that will be in that pool is going to be really low, since there's only like 2, maybe 3 more checks that are in Disney Castle right now.
Sonic being the first to delve further into Land of Dragons. Well, I don't know, does he have the ability to continue on past phase 1 of or leg 1? I call them it's like leg 1, leg 2, visit 1, visit 2. I haven't done a path seed personally, so I don't know which keys go where.
So right now, Land of Dragons, let's see. Let me see if there's anything kind of hinting it. So some worlds have been eliminated. There was a hint that, Zach taking a rough death. That actually really sucks. It's super rare. So that's unfortunate. He has to do these 3 switches again. But right now, there was a hint in Olympus Coliseum that said that Olympus Coliseum is not on the path to any proof. Those kinds of hints are actually extremely helpful, sometimes even more helpful than the hints towards the proofs, because they let you eliminate worlds entirely. You can see on Sonic's tracker that there's actually a lot of red circles with crosses through them on several different worlds. Those are the ones that are hinted by Olympus. So due to what showed up there, Halloween Town cannot have any proofs. Port Royal cannot have any proofs. The Cure locations, which are 100 Acre Wood, Beast Castle, and Hollow Bastion, cannot have any proofs. And the Fire locations, which are Hollow Bastion, Agrabah, and Pride Lands, cannot have any proofs. So all of those worlds are not technically useless for Sonic, but they are useless for finding the keys to beat the game. You could still go to one of those worlds in order to get a hint if you wanted more hints, or you could go to just find important items, but not ones that will beat the game for you. Sonic probably has plenty of tools in order to beat in fact, definitely has plenty of tools to beat the game, so he just needs those proofs. So we're now probably never going to see him go to Port Royal since he put it off for so long. It kind of worked out that way. He technically could have to go there if Twilight Town has one of his proofs, because it has a world lock item. So if that becomes the scenario, that's going to really suck for Sonic because he'll probably put that off for a while. But we just don't know yet.
As always, time will tell. And Jafar, Genie Jafar is one fight I've never quite understood, other than go to the belly, reflect, and hope for the best.
This fight is, because you're fighting on the carpet, it's mechanically very different from any other fight in the game. It is pretty cool when you kind of know what you're doing, but it's also really hard to know what you're doing in this. Zach he might not have done enough to get DM'd yet. Okay, good. He hasn't done enough damage for Jafar to DM him yet. He did get hit because he got locked in. He might die here. Yeah, he has no MP. He's probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Reminder, Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical mode is hard.
This fight also is generally more based on your strength than your magic, and I don't think he's at the maximum strength. I don't even know if he's at the minimum strength set for this world. I don't know the Agrabah 2 visit minimums offhand, so very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Sonic is leveling Limit Form right now, which levels up by using the limits that you have access to in it, specifically getting them all the way to the end. And he got it all the way to level 3. He doesn't actually have Limit Form, so he had to get low health in order to use the auto limit ability. But this is a timed fight, so there's no reason not to do this right now. it lets you get some value out of this besides just progressing the story.
Yeah, I
you
didn't
can
get
actually
anything
see
from level 3, but at least doesn't have to worry about that later.
Yeah, you can actually see Zach is trying to use magic as much as possible on this fight because it is his higher stat. And this time it's going to go much better for him. He got ice cream.
All right.
That's really good. So that gives him a lot of checks in Twilight Town. It gives him a place to reliably experience boost, and he now has double experience boost. He also turned that world blue, which means he now has a definitive subset of locations for proof of non-existence. Those locations are Olympus Coliseum, Twilight Town, and Hollow Bastion. We know from Sonic's hints that it can't be in Hollow Bastion, but I believe it could be in the other two. So, actually, we know it can't be in Olympus Coliseum either because Sonic has completed that world.
Right
so here it is.
Sitting inside Twilight Town.
I'm going to call it right now. Sonic is probably not going to win this seed. That is really unfortunate for him. So the order in which they got their hints means that Sonic wants to not go to Port Royal practically ever because he knows a proof can't be there. Eventually, he will probably learn that Twilight Town must have one of his proofs. And he doesn't, but there's nothing that will ever hint him, that will ever tell him where the picture is, the item that locks the second visit of Twilight Town. Like, there is nothing he can find that will make him know that that is there. He just has to go and hope that it is. That sucks. That's just really unfortunate. Yeah, so even though like Zach has had 10 deaths in this seed, it's been a bit rough. I mean, honestly, Sonic has had several deaths himself as well. Zach absolutely has the upper hand by a gigantic margin right now.
Sometimes rando gonna rando. As
yeah, and this is why you go to Port Royal early. I was calling it forever ago. I'm throwing some mini shade, some not real shade, mini shade. Go to Port Royal when you get a thunder or blizzard.
All right, Sonic, if you ever rewatch this, you're from moms.
He knows I'm kidding around. I, for the record, I have raced Sonic like a million times in this game in Rando, and I've beaten him exactly twice, chat. So, yeah, there's no doubt who's better at this video game.
You know, as for like we're both Atlanta Dragons continuing on here, I just want to mention how amusing it is to me, Hobbs. Some of the item chains. If you're explaining this to someone who doesn't know about Kingdom Hearts, like, all right, so we had to go beat this like super tough boss to get the ice cream, and then the ice cream let us go through this area
to get the picture. It's just a photograph. It's what Nickelback was talking about the whole time. It's the items you get can be pretty funny sometimes.
Yeah, it's great.
And that's what locks Stitch from Disney's Lilo and Stitch 2004 or whenever that came out. I don't know.
Which we can use to get the second torn page to let us go into 100 Acre Wood and rescue Tigger or something, you know what?
Yeah, so speaking of torn pages, that actually brings up a useful bit of commentary here. So Sonic has leveled up Sora enough to unlock a torn page, and because there's a hint on levels about where the proof of connection is, right now he knows that it's possible for the proof of connection to be in any of the worlds hinted by torn pages. And it's possible for it to also be somewhere else since there's still more on levels, but torn pages are the single thing that point to the most worlds. Torn pages point to 6 worlds at once. Hollow Bastion, Agrabah, Pride Lands, Disney Castle, Land of Dragons, and 100 Acre Wood. Because there are 5 torn pages in the game, they point to all of their vanilla world locations, and they also point to 100 Acre Wood. That way something does, besides
all right,
here.
In the throne room, Proud Fang, the Power Gem, the Energy Crystal, all incredibly useful items. And there's the proof of connection.
So, Sonic does have 2 proofs as well, but Sonic is gonna, at some point, have to do
there's Port Royal. He's going in.
Oh, okay. And we actually just heard from him, too, that he's doing it for info. That's really convenient because, this is...
Does Zach have the ability to get to Throne Room right now?
So, I don't
know if he has the key item or not.
He technically does. So here's the thing. So Zach can do exactly what Sonic just did. He has the ability to go all the way through the second visit right now. He has that Sword of the Ancestor, or whatever it's called. I think it's Sword of the Ancestor. That is, they both got it in Pride Lands at the very beginning of this seat. However, there is actually a method to not need that item in order to get to the throne room. We call it Shan Yu Skip or Throne Room Early, and it involves doing some shenanigans to jump over a cutscene trigger and skip the Shan Yu fight entirely, which I'm actually surprised Sonic didn't do. I don't know if he just doesn't have Automaster, or that might be it. He might not have Automaster, or he might have just thought it was going to be too slow since he's strong enough to just fight through the whole second visit. Zach might do it. The downside is it will take a while for him to set it up, because what he would probably have to do is get into final form, leave where he is, go and get damaged into critical health from a couple enemies, which is honestly going to be kind of hard to do because he's high enough level and like defense that it's going to take a lot of time to get damaged. And then he's going to like have to use final form, revert, aerial dodge, go into auto master and stuff. It's going to be a whole set of shenanigans. However, I would not be shocked if he does that. And if so, it will probably save him some time over doing the entire second visit like we saw from Sonic. And if so, that'll be the end of the game. Now, the picture was the first thing that Zach found here. So Sonic is going to find that. And that's going to be really nice. However, he doesn't have anything telling him that non-existence is in Twilight Town right now. The only thing saying, like, the only hint he has about non-existence right now is that it's more likely to be in Port Royal, even though he knows it can't be. Like, it's just kind of the way it works. So he has no info telling him where it is besides which worlds he knows it absolutely isn't in. He has actually eliminated a lot of worlds, though. So there's probably plenty of other worlds he's been able to eliminate based on the hints, which means he's got it down to Space Paranoids and Twilight Town, it looks like. And he has, both those worlds are pushed as far as they can go without the locks right now. So that's nice. It's just that he has no reason to know, where Ice Cream is. He doesn't even have the Agrabah world unlock, the Scimitar. He will get that if he pushes deep enough in this world, which he probably will. But yeah, actually, wait, he doesn't have the Skull and Crossbones, does he? Yeah, no, actually he doesn't. There's a weird coloring difference on his tracker to make one item look like the Skull and Crossbones when it's actually the Battlefields of War. I think that might be like a glitch or something.
Okay. Well,
yeah, so this is... Yeah, Sonic's just in a really rough situation because Zach's about to get his third unlock, whether he does, Shan Yu Skip or not. I hope he does because it's fun to show off. And then he'll be able to go and beat the game. Whereas Sonic has to go through this entire world to get the picture and the scimitar. Go through Agrabah to get the ice cream. And he can't go through this entire world right now because he doesn't have the Skull and Crossbones, which he needs to go through Twilight Town 2 to get. So he has to get this picture he just got, go to Twilight Town, get the Skull and Crossbones, come back, go through the whole world to get the scimitar, go to Agrabah, go through that whole world to get the ice cream, go back to Twilight Town, and go through there to get proof of non-existence. So it's a lot of stuff left to do.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Shan Yu, this is all Zach has to do because, Shan Yu and then a pretty bog standard fight. After this, getting into the throne room, and is Zach going to go left or right in the circle around the throne room? Is there a better one? I always go like left and around.
He'll go left. There's no better, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody go right. It literally does not make a difference, but I'm just going to throw it out there. You're wrong if you go right. I don't know why. I think it's just because clockwise makes more sense, but yeah.
Asking the important questions here. All right, very clean Barbosa from Sonic, but being level 43, super prepared for the end game fights. Barbosa very early, so no trouble there. Getting the hints and is heading into Twilight Town, so it's doing that chain.
Yeah. So it is good that he's gonna end up getting the second visit, unlock for Port Royal now. I don't know that he's gonna go back there though.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Like he might, because it's still one of his best options in terms of check density, which is what, when you're looking for world unlock items, you just have to follow check density. You have no other, nothing else really helping you. So he might go right back there, but if he doesn't, I don't think it's like a bad play. There's not really much, there's nothing telling him to go there. And if he doesn't, then he'll be taking up time he already doesn't have from just us having that knowledge because of what Zach's done. Yeah, he's not going back there. He is heading over to Halloween Town instead. And like I said, this isn't a bad play. There's nothing telling him to go to Port Royal. It's just check density. So this is just unfortunate for Sonic. Zach got a little bit luckier here in this seed, going through Port Royal earlier and going through Twilight Town 2 when he did, and then just turning right back around. But yeah, it is what it is. So at least that did finish it for him. So Sonic does definitively know it has to be in Twilight Town now. That eliminated Space Paranoids, because you get limit form in Twilight Town. So it only hints to Twilight Town, drives, and also simulated Twilight Town because something had to hint there. So they made it hint there. But Zach gets his proof of connection. He went around the right side. So in my heart, he loses. And he must normally go around the right, I guess. I just blocked it out in my head.
Well, yeah, if your team writes, you're looking good today, regardless of what Hobbs says.
He's going to go beat the game now. Sonic is leveling. Oh, he's just getting another level on drives. Oh, because, yeah, those could potentially... No, they can't have it, I don't think. I think he's just doing this because they're more locations that can have world unlocks. His drives are, so it's kind of a very quick thing to get a quick check. But yeah, this was one that was like early game routing ended up mattering a lot, kind of by chance. And Zach had the Port Royal decision earlier on, and now Sonic's been kind of... It's weird how more information can sometimes bait you into worse decisions in a way, right? Like that's an interesting thing about Rando. And yeah, he's gonna go fight Terra, so at least we're gonna get this fun
great
fight. He has a few options here. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, Zach's doing this, very auto-scroller part, and there's Terra doing what Terra does best, and reduce your life points to 0.
Yeah, that's just luck of the draw on his opening move. Some of them will kill you instantly if you are at the kind of level that Sonic's at right now, which you in a normal playthrough you never would be. He was even trying to use Duck Flare like he's using right now in order to keep himself safe, but that first opening punch move will kill you before you can even get to it unless you have auto limit. And now he's doing the horizontal / berserk charge method and then opting into final form after that. And I wonder if we'll see also the third method to somewhat cheese him, which would be using Peter Pan. Looks like he's going to go into a Duck Flare and do another berserk charge, probably, like into more horizontal slashes. Yep. I don't know if he dropped out before just because he wanted to use up the final form, since it is really useful, like it just helps deal a lot of damage. Or if he wanted to get past the first HP gate of the boss and go from phase 1 to phase 2 while in a limit. Both are kind of valid concerns or valid options. Looks like he is going to try to ride this all the way to the end, though. And again, Sonic is a master at the timing of this. It's extremely tough timing to do it consistently. And we're hearing him. He's saying he just had one early input, and when I say early, probably a frame or two early, and that caused the boss to break out of the loop and immediately got one shot because he's pretty much always going to use the whip attack out of it, and right now at Sonic's current defense, without second chance, that's just going to one shot him. So that, like, while this looks like a cheese, like, oh, you're just stun locking the boss, this is super easy, it is not in the slightest easy. No strategy to beat this boss is free, even when you're doing a cheddar method. He is going to go for the same strategy, though. See how it goes for him. Meanwhile, looks like Zach has just been flying through the end game bosses. This is Armored Xemnas 1 that he's currently on. Fortunately, the water clones were eating some of his duck flare damage, or he would have finished the boss there. So he's going to play it a little safe, back up, use Final Form and fire. Probably could have finished him without, but just wanted to play it extra safe. Don't want to take a death. I don't know if Zach has necessarily worked out that he got pretty, good luck getting that picture and everything, or if and the scimitar, or if he's just kind of rolling with like, cool, things kind of fell into place. I made good routing choices, which for the record, I do think he did. He made very good routing choices. But Sonic made good routing choices too. Just got a little bit randoed.
Yeah. We were talking about having the information, like everything Sonic's doing makes sense with the information Sonic has. It just happened to not be the beneficial information that was given to Sonic here.
It's a different set of info, and he worked with what he had. The only quote unquote mistake I would say from Sonic out of routing is that I do think that Port Royal is a good world to push early when you have magic. There was time where he was like taking deaths in the world that ever was, trying to buff his stats, where he maybe could have done that a bit safer in Port Royal first, and then had a little bit more health or a little bit more defense to do the same thing in the world that never was. Maybe doing core a little bit early would have been, that could have been held off a little bit. But there's also times where you're kind of just trying to showcase some fun stuff for the stream whenever you do a showcase race like this, and that's always appreciated from a production standpoint as well.
Absolutely. That was great.
Yeah. Like, for now, he's going to core for 3 checks here, so I don't think this is his highest value play either, but this is him, being like, hey, cool, we can do these endgame fights. That's pretty neat.
All right.
The monkeys are the worst. Zach is moving on to his final boss.
Focus over
Final
there
Xemnas
really quick.
Are supreme.
Yeah. We'll see, very good kits. I'm trying to see, is Zach at level 33?
I believe so, yeah. But he has 42 magic, which is definitely over the minimum here. It's not at the maximum.
No, definitely not.
So he, could be doing more damage. But yeah, the scarier thing is that they never found Second Chancer once more this entire seed. So like, he'll still get destroyed by a lot of attacks. Like that one.
Like that one.
he was gonna try to reflect that.
Boom. It's rough.
Yeah. He was going to try to reflect that, but I think was just a fraction too late, which is extremely easy to do with that move in particular. I've had exactly, that scenario happen to me plenty of times. That just happened to Zach. It's just one that you always expect to take a little bit longer than it does to get you, and it just happens.
Yeah, Xemnas is definitely not going to give Zach a second chance.
Such comedy.
I'll be here all night. That's a lie. I won't be here.
That's a lie. You won't be. What's going to be on after this?
Because coming up after this, we're going to have time capsule.
Yeah. All right, Sonic trying to go get those 2 chests that he forgot about. Honestly, huge props to Sonic to remember that he left these chests here. Like, that's an easy thing to have potentially forgotten. And yeah, I think he maybe wanted to check this to see if, like, when he loses the race, if that was why. If he loses, I mean, he doesn't know for sure. He's lost yet. Hey, got an aerial dodge from the last one.
All right, dome skip.
Yeah, Zach is
Got the
going to try
limit.
to skip the big 90-second attack from the boss at the end here. 3 reflects into, yeah, he's going to get it.
And boom, dome
Time.
skip successful. That is
Time
time
for Zach.
For Zach, the robot. GG's to him.
Yeah, good job from Zach. Sonic has seen it. He knows. I think we'll go ahead and get these players undeafened in a moment.
Wow. We did it! What a race. For a long time,
GG's.
it seemed like, oh yeah. GG, Zach.
Yeah, we have Zach is undeafened. Sonic is not quite yet. I think we're going to go ahead and undeafen Sonic as well. There we go. I want to make sure both of you are unmuted in OBS real quick, just to take a quick look at that when you get a
I should
chance.
be.
But
okay.
GG's to both of you.
Yeah, GG.
Fan, it's your call. I think that we might want to just kind of say what happened here, because I do think it'll take a little bit of time otherwise, but up to you.
I'm going to see if no Sonic. First of all, thank you for showing off Terra.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand why I won.
Well, you don't yet, and we will get to it, but it really, I'm leaving it as Fant's call yet if we want to get to that right away. It is, yeah, very interesting. We'll see, but...
Yeah, Sonic, would you like to know where everything was?
Sure. That's why I kind of speed this up.
Okay, so there are 2 big reasons why Zach won this race. The first is that Sonic, you got too much information. You got basically like just a little information that Zach didn't, and that you got some information that Zach didn't and hurt you. And the second is you should always go to Port Royal when you get a blizzard or a thunder. I will live or die by that.
I mean,
Yes. Well, I know you did end up going there. So what ended up happening, and this is unbelievable, is you had to go to Port Royal to get the picture, to go to
like
Twilight Town to get the skill and crossbones, to go back to Port Royal to get the scimitar, to go to Agrabah to get the ice cream, to go to Twilight Town to get the proof of non-existence. Or you had to do Shan Yu skip
right.
to get the ice cream, but you still needed... Oh, wait, no, sorry. The ice cream was Agrabah. Never mind. Yeah, you needed that regardless. Yeah, the Shan Yu skip was for the other proof. Yeah, so because Zach did Port Royal pretty early on, around when you get, like, he did it shortly after getting a magic for it. He just decided, I'm going to go push this whole thing. Oh, hey, look, picture. Let's go do Twilight Town. Oh, hey, look, skill and crossbones. I was going to go further there if I could have anyways. Let's go back and do it. Whereas Sonic waited until he already knew that Port Royal could not have a proof, thanks to the Olympus Coliseum hint. And at that point, for you, Sonic, obviously, it just becomes dumb luck on where the world unlock items are.
Yeah.
And it's just everything. Everything's by check density at that point. Everything is equal weighting, more or less.
This is basically what it is right now. Just go search like check density stuff, basically.
Yep. Yeah. And then on top, I did appreciate, though, your decision of like, okay, we're going to do some check density, and then we're going to go see if it's the 2 chests in core that I left, or if, let's go do Terra, because that's fun. Like, I appreciated that routing from you.
I really, really at least want to still have Terra and everything.
Yeah. And second attempt is incredible for how easy it is for both of you to die in this paper-thin defense seed.
So.
Yeah, I didn't find it.
And I'm curious where those are. I mean, there's only so many places it could be. Maybe deeper in 100 Acre Wood.
I mean, I can pull up the spoiler log now.
I think go for it. Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Well, let's see
Yeah,
where some of this stuff was.
When that ice cream was in Agrabah, and I was like, it's still possible for non-existence to be in Twilight. Oh no, you found it there, and I was like, like when I finally
did not realize how much of an onion I had until you just said it.
Yeah,
because you just got it early enough.
I was like, oh, okay, Twilight Town might have it because I found ice cream, and then Blizzard happened, and I'm like, oh, it has to be in Twilight Town now.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It was. It absolutely was it had a lot of layers to it that we only knew because Sonic hadn't done it so late. And that was just unfortunate.
I also thought that about a fire.
Yeah, just to get a fire, which was funny.
Yeah, when I beat that fire anyways. Wait, I have a blizzard.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that?
You can go to Simulated Twilight Town. You'll get one before Twilight Thorn.
Yeah, you'll get a fire there too.
And another blizzard.
He has a fire though, so he does. The fire was after Twilight Thorn, I think. So you can just go before.
Yeah, it was just in the station.
Yeah, I'm curious because I can do this like real quick.
Oh, it's not here.
Curious.
We know where all 3 blizzards are. Zach has all of them.
Yeah, the 2 blizzards in SCT and then 1 on Jafar.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So I have to go SCT anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. So your STT play, Zach, which I kind of chastised a little bit, actually was also required.
Yeah, well,
Not
admittedly,
when
it
you
was
did it,
not
obviously,
good.
but
It was not
I
good.
think going there up to before Twilight Thorn was not a bad play by any means. But I think you should have bailed right before or right after Twilight Thorn. I think was the correct quote unquote play, especially in hindsight, we know you could have gone there with Trinity Limit if you had waited a bit, but obviously you can never know that for sure.
Right. Yeah. Like, so I was routing it in terms of the hints. Like I know there's a hint at the end of this, and it's easy to get to.
Yes. Which actually, you both made good plays around at times. Like Sonic did Scar after Shotgun because you had Reflect and Magnet, the 2 things you need in order to do that fight. That was brilliant, Sonic. Like you did that, and I was like, this makes the most possible sense out of anything, and no other runner would have thought to do this right now. I was like, that was incredible. And Zach, you did it earlier than I think a lot of people would have as well, but like not end of Shotgun early. Like that was just absurd. And that worked out really well as well because you just get a hint right away, and also the membership card was there. But that was really cool. You both had really great moments in terms of routing, and I was saying early on, like the quote unquote mistakes in routing from either of you were all in all minor ones that anybody could also make in any given seed, especially a path hint seed where you're having to think so much. And like all your routing had reasons behind them, and I whether I disagreed with them in the moment or not, I always was like, there's valid reasons behind doing this. I bet you both ended up with similar number of deaths at the end. Yeah, because Sonic tried to do The World That Never Was EXP boosting early, and with your defenses, that just was super rough.
I also tried to do Armament Track with them as well. Yeah,
which also Zach looked like he was going to do, and then hard bailed, which was the move.
I usually take the approach of if it's easy, I'll do it. But like if I try something and it looks like it's not going to work, I just no.
Yeah, you both took a hit, what looked like intentionally to me, from him like early on, and it did about a 30 your health. And Sonic was like, I think I'm going to try to do this, and you were like, I'm hard bailing. And unfortunately for Sonic, that's what mattered. But you both actually had like kind of similar deaths in The World That Never Was in terms of length, because Zach had I think like 2 on Roxas and then a bad one on Luxord, whereas Sonic had several in the EXP boosting stuff, but then a bad one on Xemnas. So those kind of evened out a bit.
Yeah, I have a quick death for Luxord at the start.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did have one there as well.
My death to Luxord was a literal last guard.
Yeah, it was bad. I forgot. Yeah.
Anyway, second chances in Central Computer Core.
Okay.
Oh. So I done music for that.
And once more is on Hyenas 2.
Which you were not going to do.
Yeah, because...
where was Identity Disc? I don't think either of you found it.
Yeah, let's find that.
Identity
Disc is on betwixt or between.
Oh, okay. So
I don't know what actually any of the limits are.
The dry forms, you mean, yeah.
Oh, the dry forms, yeah. I keep on getting my terminology mixed up.
Yeah, Sonic found limit form eventually in Halloween Town 2, but that was when you were just blind searching for the world unlocks.
Right. Yeah, I had like all the quiet how I was tempted.
You should have Valor, Sonic, right?
Yep, sure do.
Okay. Yeah, Valor was on Terra.
Yep.
Oh, we didn't even notice at that point, I guess.
Wisdom Form is on regular Zaldin.
Okay.
And Master Form is on Larxene
Wow.
and Space Paranoids.
Very, very deep cry forms.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all pretty deep. Like,
So
other
I-
than Final Form, obviously, which you both got pretty similarly. It was funny because Sonic went for a long time with no glide, which we were warning about when Zach found it in The World That Never Was shotgunning. I was like, oh, that might take a while for Sonic, depending on if he decides to shotgun or not. But he was the first to Final Form, so he had a glide.
Yeah,
And actually ended up with 3. So got one more than Zach did at the end.
I have 3.
So, oh, well, sorry. He got 3 like significantly earlier than you did.
Okay.
I think it was
Right.
in.
But makes sense.
Yeah, my third was on Elemental Lords.
Yes, that
I
was
feel
why.
that might have been my first as well.
Okay. Let's see what the last glide was for fun.
We did see all 4. I don't remember right now, but Sonic has.
Oh, Prison Keeper. Prison Keeper.
Yes, that's right. Sonic doesn't have the STT one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
that
don't know what happened
STT
earlier
play
on.
really ended up helping.
Yeah, Zach, you obviously got the glide in World That Never Was. That was the first glide we saw very, very early. I think at one point we're on 2 glides, so like that was pretty significant, just like in terms of like general time save early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, where were the fires besides the one I found on Nexion?
There was one in STT. That was the one that Zach had. And then
Right,
there's
well, that makes
one more
sense.
floating in the ether somewhere.
Yeah, so Sunset Terrace and then Limit Level 7.
Oh, of course. Limit level 7.
Yeah.
So, just had to do everything in the video game to get that one.
Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
Great.
Oh, and if you want another Thunder, there's one on Data Zaldin.
Hey,
Nice.
hey
Oh,
Zach, do you have
boy.
access to Days Alden?
I do. I can
do
give that
not.
the college try.
I don't even have Beast Claw.
It's in
Take
STT.
one guess. I was going to say take one guess where it is. The answer to everything has been STT, apparently.
STT, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I avoided that point for a long time because no pretty limit, no limit form.
Yeah,
One of those
yeah.
I know.
Which I think was the better move, to be clear.
Right.
And I think Zach would probably agree, but I do understand your reasoning, Zach, in terms of like, what are locations I know for sure I can get the hint from,
Right.
especially at that early point in the seed. It's like, okay, because Zach did that
Right.
like one of
There's
the
the
first
ice cream.
worlds,
Yeah.
one of the first worlds after shotgunning. You might have even done that before Beast Castle. Like,
I think
quite
I did
remember.
Beast Castle first.
Okay, but it was definitely.
Yeah, it was-
Like,
I
very
did
early.
all the shotguns, and then I did Beast Castle all the way up through Darkthorn, and then I did SCT. So it was like
Yeah,
35
like I think
minutes
you were
in.
doing that around when Sonic was doing like Scar,
Okay.
and it was definitely a slow world, but I do understand the reasoning for sure. Getting that hint early, trying to make this happen. Like it's the same reason you took out
right.
Shadow Stalker, even though that was kind of a little slow. Sonic was fortunate enough to have the Thunder from somewhere
Oh, Bastion.
before going there with the Hollow Bastion one. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that's the only one you have.
I think
But
that
yeah,
the big summary here for those of you who weren't maybe able to follow all that explanation about ice cream and portraits and skull and crossbones is this sure was a seed.
yeah. It's weird because, like Zach was saying, this is 100% a seed where you could just be like, oh, I'm just vibing and playing and we're good to go. But it could also have been one that you got super randoed on because of getting too much knowledge too quickly.
Yeah.
So it's if you learned any lessons at home, kids, it's go to Port Royal when you get a Blizzard or Thunder. It's just
Because I'm kind of mad
and go
you
and
were
do
right
the world that
about
never was with the shotgun. I guess I don't know.
Because House says like
Yeah.
Port Royal. Then it was just like, gosh dang it. I
I thoroughly-
just right all the time.
Yeah, generally, I would like to go to Port Royal and have good map control for like the town fight.
Yeah, and I figured that's why you didn't go. I was calling that. I was like, you didn't have anything besides a baby magnet for the town fight, and I was like, that
Yeah.
probably is why Sonic isn't going. I think there was a period. I think around the World That Never Was leveling time when you could have gone because of like needing money and just some experience.
Yeah, and I found Nightmare in the World That Never Was.
Right. Yeah, that too. But it's also important to keep in mind, chat, that it is so much easier to think of routing as a commentator when that's practically all you have to do than it is when you're actually playing the game on top of that.
And even then, it's hard as just on commentary.
Yeah, just on commentary. Like, I would not have called Scar as early as Sonic did, and I think that was absolutely a fantastic routing decision. So,
nice.
Yeah, when I went through OC, I went through the Olympic Coliseum because of the Battlefields of War in Iowa.
Yeah.
And that was him too. So I'm like, alright, it might be an OC.
yeah, there was definitely a point where we saw you kind of chasing the hints down the line.
Yep.
Going through like Disney Castle and Olympus Coliseum and everything. And yeah, getting a reduced subset of worlds is absolutely a key like advantage in a lot of cases in path hints.
I don't think we talked too much about this entire end section here at all, but it's largely pretty straightforward. You're taking out what is this like the core of something?
Yeah,
here?
that's just, we could refer to it as the core fight. Like the end game bosses are actually pretty tough, except in Rando they're often not, just because you have ended up getting enough levels. That was super scary, Sonic. When that reflect
I'm surprised I didn't die.
Yeah, you must have been an inch away. But yeah, these can be really scary. I mean, everything here will still pretty much one-shot them. But thankfully in Rando, a lot of the times you have worked your build towards one of your stats as hard as you possibly can. You found a lot of good tools, and you are generally going to be able to melt things fast enough that you can kind of get through it without too much concern. But as we saw from Zach, like, it's still really easy to die in Final Xemnas, for example.
For sure.
Yeah.
That
Especially
is
with no second
very,
chance, no once more.
Yeah, and even taking it, like, you took it really safe in Armored Xemnas 1 as well at one point, and just, like, backed off and used Final Form, which I thought was a good, like, safe play to make. And that just really goes to show how tough these fights can be.
So, Data Zaldin here, one of the data fights. Now, what is different from these from a regular initial version you fight in the story, other than there's just a lot more HP and they do a lot more damage?
He is much faster.
Yeah, as are most of them. Almost all of them. Yeah, significantly faster. Their move patterns will sometimes change. Like, the moves they have access to are generally the same, but they're usually, the timings are very different. They could sometimes combo moves in ways that they can't in their base fight, and they're significantly faster. Obviously, everything also deals significantly more damage because they are at a much higher battle level, and the HP gates are also different, which are the kind of HP indicators that determine the phases of the fight. Oh, it's a shame for this you didn't find the aerial spiral that Sonic did.
That was the one thing we saw, post core skip.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was for file. Yes, that was for the aerial spiral.
That was, Zach running into the problem. You gotta start doing it the way I do it, where you
I was
just
trying
say,
to, dude. I was trying.
No, I meant not
just
even the
couldn't do it
land
today.
down, but yeah, the jump straight out from the ledge grab and just go into master there, like just auto master or something. But yeah,
all right,
that
Sonic.
it's
Let's
rough.
go for dome skip. Come on.
Oh yeah,
There's
he's
the
got
limit.
this
Boom,
easy.
easy. GG. That's time for Sonic.
GG.
And Zach looking pretty good on this data, Zaldin also. Unfortunately, the way that, like, once you're pretty under-tooled and stuff, or at least under-damaged, you have to just do a loop that he has a chance to DM or do the faster thing over and over, and you're just kind of at the whim of the luck.
I was going to ask Sonic to go do Terra after this was all done, but he was an overachiever and was like, all right, I'm gonna go do it anyway. You don't have to ask me to do it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Very funny. This was an extremely fun seed to commentate, though. Like, you were doing pretty different things a lot of the time when the game wasn't really giving you any information early on. So it could have, like, I think you just had to be kind of more creative in your routing, and it was fun to see that creativity come out from both of you. So that was like super cool. And yeah, it's just definitely a seed that you could get randoed on. I think skill level wise, if not for like the weird circumstances of those items, you were both doing pretty similarly. Zach had maybe a few more deaths that like were rough. Like, I actually bet your number was similar, but I think yeah, they might have cost you a bit more. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, it was a very fun seed to watch commentate. Highly recommend watching it back.
Zaldin is being a jerk.
Yeah. This is why I hate doing this at minimum stats, because he can just stall you out of MP if he really wants.
Yeah, so these
Stall
fights
you out of
like
healing
were
items.
tuned around being like level 90.
Oh!
It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't jump far enough away.
Oh, that's okay. We can call it there, I think.
Yeah, I have my deaths.
9-11.
Yeah.
9-11, yeah.
Yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty
so
close.
similar.
Yeah. Very similar.
All right. Well, Sonic, Zach, thank you both so much for coming on here today to give us a super excited Kingdom Hearts T-Race. I don't think Hobbs or I could have asked for a better seed to commentate. Like, it kept us guessing literally until the very end. It wasn't like something super obvious where you're all like going through, like, it literally could have gone either way. And we were thinking, you know, Sonic was in really good position. You know, Zach going into Simulated Twilight Town is like, what's going on here? This is really slow, giving Sonic an edge. And yeah, until we got that huge onion unpeeled.
It was unfortunate. Like, once I did the path logic on you getting the non-existence proof, I was like, oh, so chat, Zach won this seed. It was just unreal. Like, at that time, it was like, oh, I feel for Sonic here, because there's nothing that will, other than check density, like, that's the only reason to go Port Royal, and it's, yeah, that was unfortunate. But it was still extremely fun, and y'all showed off some incredible skill in this one.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I just want to have this on again at some point in the future. Just do this again. This has been such a blast. And Chad, I can't thank you all enough for watching Game Masters again. But although Game Masters is ending for the night, GDQ Hotfix is not over, because coming up after the break, we will have Time Capsule, focusing on the games Medieval and Sonic Adventure. So see you all after the break, and have a good rest of your evening.